Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today with episode 106 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak, with ACG.
Lone
is me, Blastro.
Oh, he's jumping in right away. All right, awesome. Yeah, Lone's not going to be joining us this week. He is with his girlfriend's family at the moment, so I hope he's having a great time doing the horizontal bop there. Blastro, thank you for joining us. You were a patron, and right now we don't have his Twitter handle on screen. We have your Discord code on screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys feel like joining him there. But you have a channel, too. Would you like to pimp yourself a little bit before we get started?
Yeah, it's Blastro. It's just Blastro.
I'll have it linked in the description down below.
Do some, like, coding videos in Notepad.
Cool.
That's about it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so if you guys also want to join the podcast, do consider supporting us on Patreon. We apologize there's no video this week for those watching on YouTube because my PC's just in the process of biting the dust. That's the honest truth, and so I might need a new power supply unit. But for now, laptop's doing the trick. As always, if you want to listen on the go, there will be links in the description down below to multiple sources. One of our Android users was having an issue, so he tried the Pocket Cast link we also have down below, and that was a good fix for him. So if you're listening on Android and it's not working, that's where you should go, just in case. But thank you guys all for listening and joining us this week. And also, as always, there's timestamps down below. So now let's get into the biggest reveal of the week. It seems like it was a quiet news week otherwise for the most part. And talk about Call of Duty World War II and its recent reveal and all the information that came alongside it. What are our initial thoughts? We saw the trailer.
I think the name is the best thing ever. I mean, if you want to be as generic as humanly possible, it's like that. Remember, Matty, I always joke about like Shadow of War, the Warrening. Like they're Gears of this and Shadow of War and Gray and Blue and Reckoning. It's always got an inning at the end.
Yeah.
And when it's like Shadow of War, it's like Call of Duty World War II. It's like, okay, well, I guess we won't question what it's covering.
Yep.
It's pretty much World War II.
I don't think this was made in response to Battlefield 1, but I think this was to distinguish, like, we're not doing World War 1 like Battlefield 1, you know?
Right.
That's what I was
doing.
thinking.
World War 2.
Yeah.
It should have just been called, Call of Duty 2 to just fuck everybody up like Battlefield did. People are like, wait, which one is this? What are we doing? It's like the Xbox One and the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Just start screwing up the names. Who cares?
So we know that this game's story is going to be covering, you know, the American soldiers, the European theater, all that stuff. What are our thoughts on that choice of narrative?
Go for it, Blasto. Blastro, go.
I think it's like turning to the roots of COD, boots on the ground, and it's going over to like the core concept. So instead of like a soldier delivering the narrative, it's like the president, which is like I thought was very interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's on more of a grand scale instead of just one unit doing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some people were complaining. They were like, "There's so many different battles to pick from. There's so many different parts of the war to pick from. Why is it once again this focus on the American soldiers, and you know them being the heroes?" I mean, for me personally, I just don't want it to be World at War all over again. I love World at War specifically because I thought they did a lot of things right in that game, but I don't want it just to copy and paste that game. That's
co-op, hopefully.
Yeah, there has been rumors of co-op. I don't know if they were just talking about Nazi zombies. I hope they were talking about their campaign because World at War had co-op campaign, and that was really awesome. That was a cool surprise. So
if you look at their, me too. If you look at their notes, NeoGaf had a pretty good thread where somebody broke down exactly what was said and what's been said, and what's been written and what's been shown, and it did look like there was a co-op campaign of some kind. But there's a bit of a question of, is it the campaign? Or is it one of the side campaigns?
Yeah, is it like that in MW2, the Spec Ops mode? Like those side missions?
Well, let's hope not. I didn't like those.
I like
they were fun to do on Veteran.
One.
The
snowmobile one.
Yeah, they were fun to do on Veteran with friends because you just get fucked up so badly. But other than that, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that in Modern Warfare 2.
When it comes to Call of Duty, the thing that I'm always wondering is, so I get that some of us want World War I or II, whatever, and then some of us want the future, including myself. But I think that this makes sense for them because World War II is where they sort of made their bones back in the day anyway. So it's like they're returning, and for them it's it's like a no-win and a no-lose situation. They have brand new gamers who've never played those Call of Duties, right? The older ones that aren't futuristic, because gamers are entering the market every day, every single Christmas. So those people get to experience something. So I understand where people, older are looking at it and going, fuck, man, we're going back to, it's already been done, blah, blah, blah. That's true. It has. But at the same time, a lot of people haven't been able to experience
it's a new
it.
generation that doesn't know anything
On the
about
opposite, exactly. But on the opposite side, unfortunately, a lot of the people with the proverbial free wallet and money to spend are maybe skewing older. Anyway, I think they said 34 years old for the average gamer right now, for who has the most money. So it's like you have this no-win situation. I think they did pretty good. I'm not a fan of it. I don't want to go back to World War II or One, but they weren't doing incredibly well. Well, they did well, but they weren't really capturing the imagination with the old stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Korea would be great.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
Vietnam.
I think that that's what makes Ghosts such a letdown, because it was like a dystopian future, so they could have had all the boots on the ground stuff, and it looked like the franchise was in the right direction, and then it just ended up being garbage. Matty, you say that Ghosts is like the worst Call of Duty?
I personally think so.
I think it. I'm a little biased towards it because I started playing competitive Call of Duty in it.
Okay.
And then
no,
I like Ghosts.
So I was like going. That's what got me into it. So maybe I like it a little bit more. But I think my worst is
what I've heard. Not to cut you off, but it's just what I've heard is that, especially in the response to the discussion, but I forgot who I was talking to about this, is that competitive for Ghosts was apparently really good. And that's one thing I tried once for a video. I kind of messed around, but I didn't take it seriously like I did with Black Ops 1. But I have heard that, and that one I can't speak for personally. But from my multiplayer experience, the campaign, overall, I didn't like it. But sorry, you were saying which one was the worst for you?
Yeah, Advanced Warfare, because instead of buying a scuff, I had to learn how to use claw, like Scumpy and stuff. I was going crazy. Claw. There was 2 serious glitches I remember that were like devastating. They had to like ban like how they did the glitches. It was like the Inferno sight on the Vector SMG made it have 0 recoil. And then like the suppressor on one of the guns killed a frame faster on LAN. It was like, what?
What?
It's so weird.
Wow.
Where only like 1% of 1% of 1% of people would even know. Here's the thing. I told you this last week, Matty, that to me, Call of Duty is the Mortal Kombat of this generation, where past generation Mortal Kombats had like puzzle Mortal Kombat with the Mortal Kombat fighting game and create a character Mortal Kombat and kart racing. And now Call of Duty is like zombies. It's multiplayer. And that's what's so weird, is because where Blastro may have disliked one part of one of these games, I may have liked the single player, let's say, where you may have disliked this and that, but you liked another part. It's one of those games that is very rare. If you look at it, it isn't a one-trick pony. It's actually sometimes as many as a 4-trick pony. And that's why I think you get a lot of arguments, because somebody like Blastro might like one because of the multiplayer, right? And he's like, this is great. And then you and I are like, dude, but single player... people say who doesn't buy it for single player, but the fact is that many people do. I mean, we obviously
you want to hear another
guys
series that has that issue is Fallout. So many developers have touched it, and there's so many different people who like different aspects. There's the old school fans who are like, what the fuck happened to the lore? What happened to the focus on story and role playing? There are new fans who are like, I like 4's focus on shooting and killing. It's awesome, and it's like
the real fans who like New Vegas.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got that, the definitive one. It's like there's so many different hands in the cookie jar. It's like you don't know what you're gonna get, and I think that's another fine example of what happens. And yeah, Call of Duty is bounced around so much that it was in the same boat for sure.
I got a question for you guys. Do you guys do zombies, first of all? That's the starting of the question.
I'm more like the classic zombies, and like the World War ones with the Doris and like it. I liked it when it was more like Easter egg, or like so much more secret, instead of like they were like the entire part of the map was based around the Easter egg. Now it seems everyone's like the first thing they think about is the Easter egg.
Yeah.
What about you, Matty?
I remember me and my friend were trying to fix it, or like trying to find it out, but it was already released day one, like before it came out. So we
trying
had, like,
to find what out?
Like the Easter egg, how to do it. Like it was released day one. Like some YouTuber got it early and found out. It was kind of bullcrap.
Yeah.
So Blastro, Matty, when we're talking about zombies, are you a big? I mean, do you do it? Or?
I have a lot of fond memories. I apologize if I get on a ramble here. Because I remember because I started playing zombies. I was in middle school, or junior high, sorry, and I remember like my friends and I came up with this thing like because it was back when I don't think parties had a thing where you could put them on private or invite only. So kids would just keep joining, and we'd have to have a code word to not piss them off, but to kick them from the party. So we were playing Nazi Zombies one time, and we were like, all right, if someone joins, say clear the debris, because that's what you had to do on the first Zombies map in World at War. So what we do is, like, some kid will fucking join, and we're like, dude, we're trying to chill here. And so we'd just be like, yo, Matt, or yo, Connor, clear the debris. And it would sound like we're talking about the game, and then you just get booted. So I remember that pretty well. But in the terms of zombies, yeah, I remember World at War zombies fondly. I think anyone does, because that was the beginning of it all. And I think what Blastro said is really true, where, it was fun to play the zombies mode and look for the Easter eggs, where now it's built around it solely because it's such a phenomenon. There's YouTubers that build channels off of zombies theories and zombies runs and stuff. And it's really cool to see how much it's grown. But it's definitely turned into... it hasn't lost its charm yet, but it's definitely turned into something less of what it used to be. I am a little biased. I do like Treyarch CODs more in general, I've noticed. Not just because I sit down and I'm like, this is Treyarch, I'm going to like it, but just because when I play it, it tickles my fancy a lot more. So when it comes to zombies, I still think Black Ops Zombies was good. Black Ops 2 Zombies was good. Did 3 have zombies? I don't remember ever hopping into that. It did? Okay.
Yeah, it did. The reason I asked is because...
DLC was good.
Yeah, I didn't play the reason Black Ops 3, so I was like, I'm not sure whether or not that was the case.
The reason why I asked is because, so when you look at the zombies across the entire group, there's a lot of people now who are wondering, should zombies split out on its own, that kind of thing. And actually, I think that if they did that, it would be very cool if it was a smaller scale thing that they could do. They could do maybe around the same time, whatever they want to do. But it is sort of its own separate thing. Maybe not an entire game. I don't necessarily want like 8 hours of campaign in that, right? Like, I mean, just sort of give us some spots to play. It's like a little cheap mode. I mean, I don't really want it sold as DLC either, because I know there's that difference. The moment you split it out, if you don't give it enough, people are going to be pissed that you have to pay for it. But there has to be a middle ground there somewhere, because I do feel that some development time is lost trying to develop for that, which could be moved to an expansion.
I think it would be like how Gwent, like the thing with Gwent. So they kind of just took like one of the most popular parts of the game and then just made its own. Gwent for Witcher 3, the card game.
Oh, is that the card game?
Yeah, Gwent, and it was they're splitting it off. So I think if they did the same thing for zombies, it'd be really popular.
Yeah, that's definitely that's a good idea. I never even thought of that, because I guess I don't see Activision ever doing that, because they know people buy Call of Duty for zombies. There is a big fan base, bigger probably than the ones who buy it for the campaign, who buy it for zombies.
Or the new remastered Call of Duty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Buy the game for the remastered.
Here's what I'm thinking is, like, I thought they'd start a trend of remastering games. Do you think they're gonna do the opposite, where they were like, okay, Infinite Warfare's got the jetpacks, the running, you might want boots on the ground, here's COD 4 remaster. Or at least that was their excuse. I think part of it was because they knew Infinite Warfare really wasn't appealing to anyone. I really think that's the case. But do you think now that they're going back to boots on the ground with COD World War II, so do you think there's going to be Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2, or I don't know, just what's a game with like wall running? I guess they're all too recent to re-release when you think about it. But do you think they're going to bring any Modern Warfares back as a re-release to compensate for those who don't like that era?
Go ahead, Blaster.
I think COD 4 could have been a one-off, because people see, like, they were so hyped for it. They're like, it's going to be exactly how it came out, and then there's all these issues with it, like the collaterals don't work the same. Then they added supply drops in, so it's not going to be as the same excitement for it. It's going to be like, oh, they're just going to corrupt all the games. So it's like, no, we don't want remasters. You'll ruin our memories of them. You'll add in all these new weapons to the old game. I think that was a big people like.
Yeah, I get that people didn't want them to touch up those games, but I mean, why didn't they nerf the fucking M16, man? What the hell?
Another thing, they might think that if a game is bundled, it's weak. So, like, because Infinite Warfare was so bad, they'd be like, oh, they had to add a remaster. So for the next Call of Duty, it does it. It's like, oh, the base game's, like, the new one's going to be shit.
Wait, Infinite Warfare sold incredibly well. What do we mean it was bad?
Well, a lot of people say it was bad, Infinite Warfare.
Oh, a lot of people say fucking Witcher 3's bad. I mean, we have to be realistic. Like, I think that's one of the problems also.
I thought it was bad. I thought that game was very bad.
So then you're using the word bad incredibly wrong. Like, come on, bad. Like, if you want a bad game, go buy Two Worlds 1. That's a bad game.
No,
but when we start like exaggerating to the point to where you're looking at Activision and you're saying, and I know you dislike Activision, I get it. You have every right to. So
no, you're well aware.
But
you touched my Ninja
when
Turtles.
You look at these, when you look at these things, you have to. I mean, we do have to be realistic because any more hyperbole is just gonna it's gonna mess up the entire discussion that we want to have with the developer. Additionally, it leads us as gamers down the path of disappointment. And here's why. And you've seen it, I've seen it, and I'm sure you've probably talked to developers or publishers who've told you this. If a developer or publisher's numbers do not match up with the consumer overridingly says on forums and so forth, they will most likely go with numbers. And what happens is you have pros, whoever these pros are, saying we dislike blah, blah, blah. But guess what? If it still sells really well, then what you have is an unfortunate place where the game creator has to go, okay, what you're saying isn't matching this. And that's what I was saying at the starting of this. I think this firmly proves that you have newcomers who are not as vocal and certainly don't know as much about the games. And some people will say they know less.
This is the Fallout 4.
This is exactly it. This is what I've been trying to say for so long, is that as long as we scope the discussion to be realistic, and trust me, when I say hyperbole, I'm not saying you guys are doing anything wrong. I'm just because I'm Mr. Hype.
For me, I say bad because I look at that budget. I look at the money they have. I do expect more. I don't try to, as much as I don't like them, I don't try to can the Activision excuse all the time and be like, it's Activision, what do you expect? I know they can make good shit. I know they can. If you got fucking money and the talent, which I'm sure they have, they've shown it before, you can make good stuff. It's like, they've been on my favorite box arts growing up. It's like they can make good stuff.
Yeah, I heard that it was released.
Looking at, just real quick. I think what we're looking at, though, and this is what I was trying to ask, was, I mean, the separation of church and state a little bit. It's like, well, one group is saying one thing and talking about it somewhere, and the numbers and metrics aren't matching up. By the way, I do understand Infinite Warfare did not sell as well, but it was still #1.
Yeah, that's what I said to people. I was like, it didn't sell. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, somebody's still riding their Scrooge McDuck sled down some gold doubloons.
Yeah.
But my question for you guys is this: like, how does a developer, if you're a developer, Matty, how do you decide what to do if vocally the people who've liked it have moved on, but the people who don't are still bitching about it, but the people who liked it bought enough of them to make it completely worth creating again? What do you do?
Yeah, exactly. And you bring up a fair point. It's like when you see, we could relate to it in a unique way as content creators, where you'll see a couple of trash comments in a row, people not digging your stuff, but you'll look at the like to dislike ratio and you'll be like, okay, so the only people who are really coming out are the ones who don't like me, but it seems that the content was satisfying where people are like, all right, I like that, and moved on with their day. And that's, as a viewer myself, that's what I do. I usually don't leave a lot of comments. I'll just hit like. I'm like, that was really good, and move on. So I think that's what they do, because for me, when I see a type of criticism in comparison to the numbers, I don't take that criticism, I don't want to say as seriously, but I don't take it to heart as much, where I'm like, I must be doing something right because it seems people are overall enjoying it. And so, I agree. That's the situation they get put in where, if you're like, I don't think Infinite Warfare is the worst game ever fucking made, but I thought it was not good. And I don't say that because, I mean, there was like the trend to hate it because of the dislike bar on the trailer. I'm sorry, but like that just totally makes your way of, if you're a gamer who just didn't like it because it was fun to dislike a game, then that totally makes your criticism of the game irrelevant. I know it's fun to hop on the COD hate bandwagon and all that stuff. I've been there. And it's just that you got to be realistic. And when the game's put down in front of you, even when I get, for example, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, even when I get a game that you might know, like, okay, it's probably going to be shitty, you cross your fingers when you're sitting down, like, please be a hidden gem that I can fucking praise. And that's what I did for Sniper Ghost Warrior, and I know for a fact that's what I did for Infinite Warfare, because, I think a lot of people in their teenage days around my age bracket will have fond memories of COD, and, when you sit down with that new COD, you do get that little child excitement, and, you're like, I just really want to like this. And that's why I found Infinite Warfare pretty disappointing, because usually I can find something to like about a Call of Duty, especially when I didn't expect to like Black Ops 3, and I really like that, and I'm not a fan of the wall running shit at all. So that's why I had some hope for Infinite Warfare, but I do have to say I think Infinity Ward's lost their touch a bit, and I think they need to do some reworking personally.
I think that like have been having some issues for a while now, because how many times have they had to remaster stuff? Not just the game, but like how many times have they made new terminal remasters of their old maps?
That's
like
true.
all you hear is how they remaster these maps, and a lot of people were saying how there was a bunch of things that they're adding in really late, like an emblem editor that you think would have came in the base game. But I think that's just kind of nitpicking on my part. The main trend is like the current Call of Duty is always the worst in the community. Everyone's like trash talking it, but like I think there was a lot missing compared to like Black Ops 3. So much, in fact, that they're still releasing DLC for Black Ops 3 to compensate for all the people that went back to the Call of Duty. Yeah, I think so. It's definitely I think the reason that it sold so much was A, it's a Call of Duty game, and two, actually I said A and then two. B, it's because of the remaster that came with it, and people are so excited for that. Because when people see the trailer, and a lot of people would have been like, the main people that are buying the game, they'll be like, wow, a lot of people don't like this and may have not picked it up. So there's just so many variables, it'd be hard to call exactly why they've returned to the roots, but it's mostly a public outcry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what developers ever tell me. I mean, it could be, but most of the time they know most consumers are full of bullshit. And so it's like, and we know that. I mean, Maddie and I have dealt with some stuff. We dealt with something this weekend. I think he dealt with it better than I did. But there was a PR thing that happened where I was sort of livid when it happened.
Let's talk about that.
We'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah,
I don't want to derail this fuck.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
I in no way, shape, or form think any of these games are the best games in the world or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I think that what's weird is our impressions are so different. For example, the people I hang with, almost none of them have gamed for longer than 1 year because of a certain job I do on the side. Infinite Warfare to them is Battlestar Galactica, which they watched on TV as a kid, the new one, the remake, and we're like, oh, it's in the future. Advanced Warfare, it's in the future. And they just play it. And the things that we talk about don't come up. What worries me is as gamers age, and remember, the industry is this is the only industry you can think of that's really aging with the consumer. As in, there are people here who play games there were no games when they were born. There was no games for their teen years, let's say. Mm-hmm. And so as it happens, you hold those contained hates. You hold on to them. We all do. Maddie and I have talked about this for hours. Like, how do you forget that a company fucked you over 6 years ago? Yeah. And it's difficult as hell. And what happens is we remember, and then that title gets compared to 50 other fucking titles. Now, Maddie's right. Whether all that happens, you're supposed to grab a game, review it, or grab a game and play it and not think of that. I think with reviewers, they probably know that. I think most gamers don't give a shit. They buy the game. They don't care if they're remembering old hatreds or not. But you get these weird discussions sometimes that, I mean, it's so odd because I have no clue why they went back. But they were rumored to go back before this last one. So it's like, does that mean that the one before this last one was the bad one? And that they just tried one more time? I mean, there's so many, it's like we're all guessing, in some way looking at the lunar phases of the moon to try to figure out when to launch our fucking rocket. And it's just it gets lost sometimes. It's like, it's hard to know. I wish I could be a fly on the wall. Remember we were talking about this with Lone.
Yeah, last week, just be a fly on the wall when the idea came out to see how the reaction was.
Yeah, sit there and go, okay, somebody's going to mention they're going to call it World War II. That's the first thing. I want to know how that was named. I want to know who named that game. And who had it must have been like their accountant who was like, when are we doing this? World War II? We should call it Call of Duty.
Call it that.
Yeah. Do you guys think that it was named that to differentiate itself from Battlefield 1?
Definitely.
Yeah,
that's what I
think so.
I think so too. Yeah. It's just that it's clear that they knew there would be the response of Battlefield and COD. It always happens, but this time, I was gonna say, and I don't think they're copycats personally, and I'm not saying you said that, but it's just that.
Wait, people are saying what?
Yeah, they're saying that like Call of Duty copied. Remember we talked about this last week when we knew the reveal was coming up, and I was saying people are gonna say that they're copying Battlefield 1, but this decision for Call of Duty was made years back. And people are saying like they're called.
I remember you saying
that. And it happened. People are like, "Oh, they're copying Battlefield 1." I'm like, dude, please educate yourself. Come on.
You know nothing about game development at all.
It's they're just a step behind. But what I want to get back on track with here is, they talked about not just boots on the ground, but they were saying like there's no health regen. There's like health pickups now. I don't know if that's the multiplayer.
That's a big change.
But it's
that's single, and it's single player. Multiplayer, they weren't talking about. They did mention in single player there is no regenerating health, and it will be, in their words, far more deadly or something like that, or you will be far more vulnerable. That's
interesting. I'm getting. Why am I thinking of Doom right now? The health pickups running. I just, I don't know. I'm not saying the game's going to be like Doom, but I'm saying like that go back to your roots, kind of bring back the old, where Doom was bringing back that fast-paced run and gun action, health pickups, armor pickups, power-ups. It's like you wonder if COD might be taking inspiration in the sense of
copycat, obviously.
Yeah, copycat.
Yeah. No one's ever done medpacks before. It's definitely a copy.
Yeah, but in the sense of just premise of like going back to the roots and health pickups and stuff. What I'm afraid of though is that with COD World War II, the reviews will come out, and I know I'm jumping the gun here, but like fans will rave. It'll be like, this is the best COD ever. And it's like, is it because people are nostalgic to go back, or is it because it's an actual good game? That's where...
You just answered your question. It'll be some people doing both.
Fuck.
That's unfortunate, Matty, but you can't win that.
Yeah.
The moment you mention it, it's like you just answered your question. It will just be some people doing... I mean, we all have friends. For example, Cadiz, who's on my channel, sometimes he'll like a game, and I'm pretty sure it's most likely based around him just liking the memory of something else. Like, and I'll wait a little while, and then maybe half a year later, I'll ask him, and his answer will change. He'll be like, really? Because you were wearing their jacket and shit. Like you were wearing their swag. So I think people do everything. They'll do all different bits. That's the way it happens, right?
That's true. What other? There was a little tease of multiplayer gameplay of the new headquarters, they called it. It looked like a social hub. Interesting idea. I hope to God that there's a mute all feature in that fucking lobby for the people who don't sit in parties, because man, like sitting in a COD lobby of 12 people and kids and young adults screaming, and it's like, imagine that with 48 people in there. I
did your mom.
Yeah, like all just yelling. Man, I hope that could be bad. But
hey, what is it? Just the lobby that's like that?
Yeah, I don't know if they went into a lot of details on what the headquarters was, but I think it was a new way for players to interact, and also I think it's like where it was to bring to life the idea of like while you're creating your loadouts and stuff there. It seemed like a unique twist, in my opinion, to kind of keep you invested in the era you're involved in.
Sure,
it's probably like the tower. It's probably like the tower from Destiny.
That's what people were saying. Yeah, that's what I was listening.
Dear God, we do not want that.
Yeah.
There'll be dance emotes.
Yeah.
We're going to get Zur every once a week to appear there.
Well, that's the thing. Exactly. People were saying, like,
special M16.
They could have
join the faction.
They could have, like, those hut... I don't know if you guys have played the updated Battlefront with the hut contracts, but people were saying, like, maybe they'll have a feature like that, and... they have to create a class system. I think is going to be different. It seems like they're changing a lot of things up with that. And there's a rumor of a 48-man multiplayer mode. I think it's what they showed there. And it's not a mode, really. It's a social hub. But can Call of Duty even handle that with its hosts and the type of gameplay it is? Could it do 48-man multiplayer?
It just crumbles when they lose a host instead of like the connection dropping.
Yeah.
Hey, it
gets artillery bombed?
Or is it dedicated or is it peer-to-peer?
I think it's peer-to-peer still.
Okay, if it's peer-to-peer,
I apologize if I'm wrong to those who are listening.
It's all right. There's no way the majority of people are going to be able to have that and have it work well most of the time, unless they've got some new magical infrastructure. But if they went dedicated, yeah, they could do that, and the engine can do it. Because I'm going to be honest. Do you guys truly believe that this is going to be anywhere near as open as Battlefield 1? Because I don't. No. And if they're smaller maps, even with more people, you could have 100 versus 100, but smaller map means your memory.
Medium-sized maps will be their best friend because there's a lot of semi-auto rifles during that time frame. So
yeah. So I see it more as like they could. It's hopefully, guys. These guys are sitting down looking at their design decisions and are like, if we don't do recharging health, it has to make sense with what we do. Why did we go away from it? Because that's the big question developers a lot of times will forget to ask. We don't want to do this, but why? And if you don't want to do it, what are you going to do that makes sense? Because I don't want to run around like Doom and grab a fucking syringe pack and have it instantly work. If just before that I was, you saw the animation, like, because I want it to make sense. Why are we doing it? Health and stuff like that. How's it going to work out? You hit on the biggest thing is health for me. Like, how are you going to make that really make sense?
They did
and
something
feel
like
right?
Far Cry 3, where you'd
Wrap.
Depending on like where you actually got shot. Like sometimes you go to your right leg and just pop out a bullet. Sometimes you'd pull a stick out of your arm.
Awesome.
That was really cool. And I think that would be
slightly
something.
adjust your speed, maybe.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Stuff like that, I think would be really awesome for their new health system. Or I'm sure that they'll have, instead of like health pickups, they'll also have like med packs that you can carry on you to heal later in the level, instead of constantly looking for the health pickup to just instantly recharge your health.
Whoa, what if they did a crafting system for that?
That would be interesting. Well, that's the thing. It makes you wonder what that hub's for. I know we're bouncing between multiplayer and single player, but it makes you wonder if they're going to have you get, like in Infinite Warfare, one of the coolest things they did do with that game was the blueprint mode or something like that, and you'd collect salvage from the multiplayer and you'd craft stuff. So you wonder if they're going to carry that over into COD World War II and make it so that you can, craft or build grenades. I don't know, man. Just spitfiring.
Matty, you were talking about hut contracts. Would it not be awesome? See, one of the things we always see is that, and I get this, multiplayer people usually want to just hit the multiplayer map and go. I get that. So people are going to be pissed when I say this, but I just want to bring it up. Do you know what would be cool to me is if you had your base or whatever you're calling it, your place like Destiny, and you can like walk up to a board, get your contract, and then that loads a multiplayer mission where it's like, you need to go to this, this forest where there's rumors of a patrol, blah, blah, blah. And then the game sets that multiplayer mission up slightly differently. One of the things that we see all the time is, like a Titanfall, because we see this all the time. It's like 8 people loaded. They all run in place while the server's counting down. They jump, they leap, they teabag each other, and then the fucking server goes off and they run. I would like to see some unique things. Like, does everybody spawn in the same place? No. Spawn in one of 8 places and you don't get to choose. Spawn, or have one guy helicopter in or whatever. There's different ways you could do these things, like airborne. We talked about Medal of Honor Airborne. You're like, I want to jump out of a plane and land behind enemy lines in the new Call of Duty. Like, if you're going to go that route, go that fucking route and solidify it in that ancient time. It's ancient now. That would be awesome. Like that would be the way they could win me over.
Oh, yeah.
Lasher, what do you think of this new hub, I guess we'll call it, the social
hub?
Because I'm not a big fan of Destiny. If it is like Destiny, which is probably where they're taking big inspiration from, right? Because they're Activision and Bungie are on that. But I think it could work like with Karak's idea with the contract board, like in Witcher. You just go load to a multiplayer map, or you go into like the back room where the guy with the supply drops are at, and it's like, hello, fleshy humans. It's like, who are you? So it could be. They have to do it right. If there was NPCs there that you could talk to, it'd be really interesting too. If they did it that way.
Yeah, you could do some story elements that maybe, like the contracts. What if you just did the multiplayer, but if you wanted to do a contract, you could go get the contract, then go do the multiplayer.
This is like some speculation. Maddie likes that, but
yes, sir. Let's hear it.
You go in there, and then as you're playing the multiplayer, let's say you're not done the single player yet, you'll see all the characters in the hub, and then by the time you complete the story, all your friends that were in the hub are dead, throughout the story.
Oh my god, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so like, I don't know, that'd be a little cool thing they could do.
I like that kind of stuff. Like, I would totally, if you told me that was in the game, it would raise my desire to at least check it out far higher, because I think a lot of us do like the multiplayer, but there is little elements of just the feel of the game that we like that they could add in with some story. For example, like when it gets in multiplayer, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. You get in the grind. It's like, I need a new weapon. I need a new upgrade. I need a new blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's like, if they mixed in lore with that, if they mixed in contracts with that, like, I got this fucking gun or I got this thing. Oh, and it's got a contract. Like, this gun has a... Yeah, and this thing has a thing which has a thing. See, that's what happens a lot of times is they don't. You get a gun and that's it. It shoots faster. Good job. Your fucking rounds per second are 0.2% faster. Who gives a shit? But if it also says, you got this, and there's a rumor about this and this and that, and it's sort of like this weird narrative that spans through it all. I think a lot of people who jump into multiplayer many times are sort of aggravated by how quick it is. You jump in and it's just like pick a weapon, pick an outfit, pick a map, and go. And if there was a little bit more of a detailed narrative you could follow if you wanted, then it might get more people into it who maybe bounce off of it because of its initial complexity, or not complexity, but brutal. It is brutal. Let's be honest. I've had friends who were like, "I'm going to play Call of Duty." I'm like, "No, you're not. Don't even enter Call of Duty and say I'm going to play Call of Duty," because you will get knifed from 6,000 feet away. Yeah. You'll be like, "What the fuck happened?"
Commando Pro.
Throwback.
Because Call of Duty has been around for so long, it's like all the people that are feeling the nostalgia for the old games. It's almost like the renaissance of Call of Duty, this game, and everyone wants them to go crazy. And I think that's like
you're so right. Yeah, everyone's like, "Man, it's World War II. I'm pretty excited," but now they gotta get wild with it. I'm like, rewind.
I don't want wild. I just want a reason for them to have done it.
Yeah, I'm like, let's rewind for a sec. I get the appeal of seeing a fucking crazy ass Red Tiger camo in World War II and how that would be awesome. But everyone was clamoring for the original stuff. You don't ask for one thing, and then when you get it, you want another thing. That's just that rolls back to what we were talking about earlier, and how people were fucking the hyperboles and not giving developers the clear signal.
How much can it get crazier than space zombies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Pretty difficult. That's a question. I heard a lot of people bitching that we're returning to the beaches, and I get that. I actually thought that as well when I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
man.
it looked cool, but it was it looked familiar.
It's pretty close to the bone right there. You're all. I think I've eaten this dish before, but if they say here's the reason why we're going back, and it's not just because some people didn't like the future, it's because we thought we could do in that space very well and make it an intriguing title. And I know a lot of people are like, dude, this is Activision, they won't say that. But I can tell you, somebody in Activision, many developers, really do want that. They do. I mean, they're game players too. They want that. So that's what we're hoping for, is that they win out or won out. And that's what we get. Because as Blastro said, if like my dudes died around me, that would be the coolest. I'd just be like, what the fuck, man? These guys are dying. Like each time I come back, there's, where's Jed? He was playing the harmonica. It's like Jed died, motherfucker. Here's his leg.
Just following the harmonica.
Yeah.
So
that'd be awesome.
There was also a little panel that was shown after the initial reveal trailer, and was anyone, I guess, put off by how scripted it was?
Oh my gosh.
I feel like there's got to be a video out there of a boots on the ground counter. Every time he's like, boots on the ground, boots on the ground, boots on the ground. We went back to our roots. Shit. Dude.
Fish AI.
Yeah.
Fish AI.
It's like, I wonder how many times they fucking said it, man. And you had Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield. I think that's their names. I apologize if I got them wrong. But when they're sitting out on the couch, they could not, and they're game developers. They're not TV personality, so it's not like they're supposed to make it that easy. But I'm just saying, they could not make it more obvious. They're reading off a fucking teleprompter. The guy will ask him a genuine question. He'll kick back, put his leg up, and then pretend like the camera that I'm looking at is the interviewer, and then the fucking teleprompter's over there. He's like, yeah, so we were thinking about bringing in boots on the ground, and he just kept looking back and forth, and it felt less genuine, less rehearsed even. And I know that sounds like a minor nitpick. If the game looks good, who gives a fuck about the panel, right?
I think they're too scared about their reveals now. They're like, oh no, we don't want to get the dislike bandwagon on it.
I do like what they did though, in the sense of the panel, because I said I wanted them to change up how they reveal games. I said I think giving the game time to fester was the biggest enemy of Infinite Warfare. I think that hurt their sales, because there are people who just said, I want to fucking hate this game. I'm going to. So fuck it. Let's do it. And I think because they kept silent for so long, in between, they were like, we got to do the E3 reveal and all that shit. And they did a good job with that too, because they didn't show that it was Infinite Warfare until, at the end. And I said at that point, I was like, all right, that looked cool. They got me. I didn't know it was Infinite Warfare until it ended. And I said, I'll try it out. But, the fact that they had to resort to trickery in a way, that kind of sucks. So I like how they're changing it up. It's just I didn't like how blatantly they were reading the teleprompter.
Right. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I think that when it comes to, any PR like that, they especially Activision, they're held to so many different structures that like a smaller dev isn't. Where a smaller dev isn't held to like a stockholder, isn't held to mistakes that they may make. When you're talking to like somebody from Rockstar, for example, they'll be like, dude, we have people who vet what we say on the phone during our stockholder events because we accidentally might tell people about a game, or we might slip up and tell people about something. There's a lot of like structure around it. And what happens is they're just not very good at hiding it. You know, they aren't. I mean, like you said, it's like when you catch somebody looking both ways, you realize that, yeah, they're not that good at it. It'd be nice if everybody had the ability to just sit back and be like, yeah, so this is Call of Duty, boring name, enjoy, and just let them check it out. But it's Activision. They have stockholders, and it's one of the reasons why I'm worried about Vivendi and Ubisoft. We're going to see some huge changes there too, and people aren't even happy with Ubisoft right now, let alone.
Yeah,
so.
Which I kind of find surprising. I thought they've been on a bit of an upward trend in terms of their quality.
They got a lot of indies. I like their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Wildlands is the only one I can think of in recent memory that I was like,
more people that can sit back and say salutations, followers.
Yeah, exactly. Hip hip, gentlemen.
Is there any other thoughts we want to offer on COD World War II before we move on?
I think that they have like a lot of like win it all, like when they're like I was saying, like the setting and like how it's not like one soldier's story. Mm-hmm. As the president, I think they can do a lot more with that. Like, I just hope they don't do where they just jump from one group to the next, like Battlefield 1 does. I hope they just. I'm not sure they'd lose their identity a bit if they did that.
Well, yeah, my biggest issue was that Battlefield 1 had the chance to be a really good campaign. I still say that it was a bit overrated for what people said, because people were comparing it to previous DICE campaigns. And sure, if you look at maybe Battlefield Bad Company 2, that was, in my opinion, the last good one they did. But I think people got that critique mixed up. And for me, I just thought that they didn't give the game enough time to build any emotional strings to any of the characters or have any really unique moments. We were talking about, Karak, you and I, about some games' campaigns feeling like multiplayer maps cut up. And
that's exactly what that was.
That's exactly what it was. You know, I remember the one with the, I think it was the Ottoman Empire, and, you know, it was the train coming in, just like the one I remember seeing from the beta, and then you see it in the full game multiplayer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And, you know, it was a cool moment that was kind of afterwards, because I was like, I've destroyed this train 40 times in the beta, and now I'm playing the campaign, and I'm destroying the train. So, yeah, I think that game, I usually don't try to complain about game length all that much. But
that was short, though.
Yeah, that was short, and I think it was its detriment because it didn't give you time to really get to know anyone. I remember what happened, I guess, in the campaigns, like bits and pieces, but I don't remember names. I don't remember. It was kind of forgettable. It was cool. It was, I'm here for the fun ride, but it definitely didn't leave any lasting impressions like any of their other campaigns.
It's almost like they all came to the dev room like right before it. They're like, okay, what's your idea for a campaign? What's your idea for campaign? And then just like they write a little storyboard and then just hand it in. And
somebody was like, what do the levels loading look like? A cemetery, like a tombstone, showed when they died. And you're like, okay. And it doesn't matter who you switch to, the dude's name's the same. So it's just like, all right, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. That I liked it, but it was short as hell, and it certainly wasn't up to other standards of other games.
Sometimes when you're reviewing games, you're not complaining when it's short as hell, though, right? Whoa, wait, what did you say? What did he say? Hold on.
Battlefield Hardline.
Fucking Hardline.
Oh, no.
I was joking. I was making fun of
him. Fuck. I thought you were serious. Fuck.
Yeah, he was not serious. No one's serious when they talk about Battlefield Hardline. Just joking. I love you, Maddie. I love you, buddy. I'm just joking. All right, let's get off this. We've beaten this shit to a dead horse, man. Let's talk about
what else is up. Let's talk about going back a little bit. There's been a bit of a trend on Twitter I've noticed, which was talking about the last couple of games of the year. So I thought maybe we could list ours and then what we look for in those kinds of games. Blaster, you said you went back all the way to 2011, so I guess that's what we'll do, right?
So are we gonna start from present, or are we gonna go back, or
whatever you want, bro? Whatever you want, bro.
Okay. So we're gonna go back to the last Bethesda time they won, Skyrim. So obviously, do we all like Skyrim? Especially the combat up here in the combat system.
I like Skyrim.
Not the combat. I like Skyrim a lot.
Yeah, Dovahkiin. So and then we had Journey.
Okay.
Was the next one. I think we all can agree.
I actually never played that.
I never beat it, but I played like a level. And then The Last of Us, my favorite game.
Ever?
Bit of a story game.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's a great choice. I love that game. That's one of the games that is an ending that actually stuck with me, and it developed over time. Where at first I didn't like the ending at all. I was like, that was so bad. I was like, how could you do that? I was angry, and then I came to accept the ending. I understood it more.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that was so good. So that's what I call a fucking amazing ending when you really look at it.
For the viewers, like, you guys are probably so familiar with these games. We're 4 years back right now, because Skyrim 2011, Journey 2012, and The Last of Us 2013. We still got the best year of gaming 2014. Dragon Age Inquisition.
No.
Wait, what?
Remember?
Is he joking?
No, it was a real thing. They won that year in 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm joking about it being the best. Yeah.
Is this yours? Is this yours, or are you saying?
No, it got game of the year.
Oh,
I think we were talking about yours.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about yours. My bad.
I was confused too.
Yeah, because you were like,
talking about yours,
yeah.
Blastro. What do you like? That's
why
why he was surprised you went all the way back to 2011. He's like, how would he know?
No, I was surprised when he's like, yeah, Journey was one of my game of the years. I only played one level. I'm like, what the fuck? Hold on. What?
I thought we were going over the awards that they won.
You work at IGN.
Yeah.
Come on.
Secretly, Greg Miller's sidekick, beat all the way. I don't know. I just searched up a list before the podcast.
All right, then, yeah,
no.
We'll keep rolling with that.
We'll let Matty go. And Matt, and then you think about these, Blastro. But what you, even if it's just 1 year back, because I only have 1 year.
Okay.
Feel free. But what do you, Matty? Do you have?
I can go back to 2012 just because I looked myself when this tweet came up. So I was like, all right, let's see what because I went back to my old lists and stuff. I didn't change anything based off like how I felt games age, because I feel if you make that game of the year pick, you gotta stand by it, I guess, even if you don't still think it. So 2012 for me was Borderlands 2. The reason I picked that is because it really was a true evolution. I felt in every step except frame rate that the first one was. I was watching because I was looking at Borderlands 2 videos on my channel. And I was doing this one mini boss fight in one of the DLCs, I think it was, and oh my god, the frames were fucking dropping. I was playing on the 360. Yeah. I was like, how did I not care about that? But aside from that, yeah, just the fact that they actually made a story that eventually got emotional and hard hitting towards the middle end part, and I won't spoil it for those who haven't played it, but it was fantastic. I'm sure Lone, if he ever hears this, is probably really proud of me for saying that.
BioShock.
Yeah, but that was what my 2012 pick was. And 2013 was BioShock Infinite. That was a game I was just, I'll tie in some of the pre-release hype that hit me. I was really excited for it. Like every corner of the fucking game I could go into and search, I really did, because I was in love with the universe. I've realized when I look back on a lot of these games, I am a sucker for game universes. That's one of my biggest things.
Me too.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Is the universe is good. Like, I mean, and there's nothing quite like BioShock. And BioShock Infinite, I was like, how can you do it over again, man? I mean, and the fact that it ties to the rest of them, and not only that, but I mean, some people complain about the gameplay in BioShock Infinite, and I can understand why, but I had a blast with it, man, and I replayed it recently last year. I still had fun with it. I still thought the mix of vigors and guns, I had a good time with it. I didn't really have any issues, especially because you can combine them. Really didn't have problems with it. 2014 was Transistor. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
I never played that.
Yeah, 2014 was a very scarce year for gaming. We've gone over that many times, and that's the first time I've really actually picked it. And I'm not saying in a bad way, but I've never had to pick an indie game for Game of the Year. But I mean, Transistor was a game that really, I don't want to say spoke to me, but it connected to me because I loved how they tied the music into the story, where sometimes the storytelling was pretty vague, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And then I'd hear the music, and it would explain clearly what was happening. And I thought that was a really unique theme. Gameplay system, unlike I've really seen since then. The stopping time, planning out your moves, and then watching all your strategizing and work go into play and seeing if that execution was just right. That was really awesome. 2015, if I had to redo, I'd go Bloodborne. But my original pick was Fallout 4. Some people will still say, you know, to this day, they'll be like, why didn't you pick The Witcher 3? I got into a huge conversation on my fucking Twitter about this. Oh my God, bro. Because like people were, you know, I'll get into the next one in a second, but, you know, so many people were like, dude, how could you not pick The Witcher? I'm like, I know The Witcher is like the fucking, I think it's, you know, the gold standard for modern RPGs. I said, you got no argument for me. That doesn't change the fact that I love the types of games Bethesda Game Studios makes. The way they do exploration, the way they handle their lore, and I know, you know...
You see that mountain?
Yeah, I know they fucked up the lore a couple of times throughout 4, but not enough for me to really break any love for the game. But yeah, I liked what they did with Fallout 4. Like I just said, you've noticed the theme with all these picks. I like good universes. Bethesda fucking kills it with their universes all the time. And the way they do exploration makes it a goddamn gamer's wet dream for me. And so, yeah.
Near perfect.
Near perfect. Just kidding. But, yeah, I liked Fallout 4 a lot. I wouldn't stand by a Game of the Year pick now for that, but that's what I originally picked. And I do still say it's a good game and it would still be on my list. Just, if I were to redo that list, I'd probably go Bloodborne. Because someone was like, that's like saying someone put a fine steak in front of you, which would be The Witcher 3, or Wendy's. And it was a good analogy. They were like, and I wouldn't equate Fallout 4 to Wendy's, but they were like, and it's like you just pick it's like you just pick the Wendy's. And I'm like, some days you want fast food. Because it's like the same thing with Call of Duty and Battlefield. You know, I think there's a couple COD fans who will say, yeah, I know Battlefield pushes the technical boundaries further. They have the bigger battles. It's a better looking game overall. And yeah, you could argue that Battlefield is the better shooter between the two. But some people just like Call of Duty and its type of gameplay. And, you know, I think that's how I felt about Fallout 4. Not that I like it really more in The Witcher 3. They're kind of just enjoyment-wise on the same level. But I'm just a bigger Fallout fan, too. I don't want to say I'm a big Witcher fan.
Real Fallout.
Yeah, the real Fallout fan, hashtag. It's just that I feel like I'm explaining myself too much, but I'm more so, because I know it's an interesting conversation I was having about how I pick Game of the Year. So I was like, I just go off what I best remembered, because I know good games stick with me, and what I enjoyed the most. And The Witcher 3 I played for a month, and then I stopped playing because I got into Batman Arkham Knight, then Rocket League, and then I beat it in August because I thought the Novigrad section really wasn't that good. But overall, I mean, that game was fantastic. Just 2015 was really good. And sorry, I'm rambling so much, but 2016, and this will loop back to the discussion I was talking about earlier, I picked Overwatch, and people were like, how the fuck could you pick Overwatch? I'm like,
hell yeah, Overwatch.
I'm like, this game just surpassed 30 million players, and you're still questioning it. Like, you're still demanding that this game is bad. I can't, you know, and everyone's got their own opinion. I'm just saying that it's obviously widely loved. It's like, why is it so hard to question that Overwatch is a good game, I wonder. But the reason I picked that was, and I've never picked a multiplayer game until that point for Game of the Year, I still play it on a nightly basis. Like, not even exaggerating. Yeah, I fucking love that game. Right now, we're in, like, the golden age of Overwatch, where every hero is a viable pick. My friend Never pointed that out. See, Never, I'm crediting you this time. And it was a great point when he said it. Because you can go Hanzo, for God's sakes. If you got good aim, you can have an impact. And it's really, you know, you got 20-something, 25, 26, I don't remember the number. Awesome heroes to pick from that all have their own individual impact. And if you are good with one of them, you can have that impact. And I think that's fantastic. But anyway, I've talked long enough. Those are my last couple of Game of the Years.
All right. So, Blastro, is it okay if I go?
I remedy my list, but I'll let you go. You said you only had small.
I just got 3. So because I can only go back like 2 or 3 years before I start forgetting.
Please go on as long as possible, so I feel like I didn't just talk for a goddamn hour.
So Divinity: Original Sin was 2014.
Ooh. Oh wow.
And there was some issues there because it was early access. You all know about that. Yeah. Like it's when it was released.
On that.
Yeah, and Divinity: Original Sin is one of those games that blew me away for various little reasons, like the multiplayer role-playing, rock, paper, scissors. It's shit that we wish Fallout... You know, whenever I find out that we're all talking about games we wish had some element of another game, that other game is probably a good game. Like, that's... And this was the first time where mixing spells in a location could cause, like, steam if you mixed fire and water. It was crazy, and it reminds me a bit of Zelda where Zelda always has these weird little experiments. There was a number of experiments. And first game I can remember where if you don't return right away to do a mission that's time sensitive, the person dies. Instead of the typical Skyrim thing where they're like, thank you for returning 600 years from
yeah.
quest. My daughter's still alive. And you're like, okay, I'll save her now. The next one, and these are all indies or small. Life is Strange.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Love that game.
If I wasn't live streaming that game would have made me cry at the end, bro. Oh, my God.
A lot of people see me and they're like, so this fucking lumberjack dude shoots people, COD, goes out, but his game is Life is Strange. And yeah, easily. I love being a 17-year-old girl. It's the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. It is, it's fantastic. Do
you think they're ever going to make a sequel to that or anything?
I hope they don't.
They are
going to. But.
I think it could have ended better, and then I would be okay with just one series. But because it didn't end the greatest, even though I still think it's the best overall, I'm okay with it. But I agree with Blastro that like there's some questions.
I love that mix of the.
Which one's the canon ending? Like I don't want to spoil, but like that's the biggest thing for me.
The canon for Life is Strange would be definitely not what I got because I'm one of the. That at the end of Telltale games, it says you and 0% of people chose to do this because I am definitely when I.
I was on the minority for most of my decisions.
Damn. Yeah, and then last year's was Oxenfree, another which my picture up there. Oh, you can't see it. Oxenfree, another indie game, and it's like Life is Strange. As a matter of fact, a lot of people call it like a 2D Life is Strange, and it's one of those titles where I beat it and then beat it again instantly, as in started it over, beat it again, and then got Cadiz. And I was like, I need you to tell me if this is as good as I think it is. Like, because I'm a little, I can't really tell. Have I lost my way? Like, what's going on? Like, I just want to see somebody who doesn't play these kind of games because that is not his style of game. And he sat down, and within like 20 minutes, he stopped answering any questions. I'd be like, so what do you think?
Oh, man.
What do you think about the voices? And I was like, what the fuck? So I just was sort of quiet. I was like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Because he's like me. We're like, so anyway, what were you doing yesterday? Where we're playing Virtual Fighter, you know? And we got done. He's like, yeah, it's my favorite game of the year. Like instantly. And it is. Like I don't get emotional in those ways, but I feel a Goonies / that nostalgia, the Explorers kind of movie feeling, and I think that you can tell because at two of those, Life is Strange and Oxenfree, those were the shit. They nailed it, and cost wise, with what you get is just, I mean, it's through the roof. So yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, no, your 2015 pick though, I forgot that. Not to cut you off, just I remember Life is Strange. I really appreciated because it it took the Telltale formula and it added a little more gameplay to it.
Oh, definitely,
and I really like that.
The way we all want Telltale to be.
Yeah.
Would you say that's
agree.
literally what we would?
You say it was progressive, or it actually goes backwards in time?
Look at this guy with the jokes.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, so you want me to start off my list?
Go for it.
Remedied. Okay, so basically I just searched up best games of every year or whatever. So Skyrim is still my 2011 pick, and then Diablo 3 is my 2012. But really, it was the expansion it got in 2013 that made it better. But I can't really go on an expansion for Game of the Year. Had played the crap out of that, modded it on
mods. I didn't know they had mods
on PS4. You could find so many modded lobbies. It's insane.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What do they do in the modded lobbies? Is it just like
basically just kills everything instantly?
Oh shit! Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, like after I beat everything, then I'm just like,
go back and become a lawnmower.
Yeah, basically. I ended up clearing the highest level rift in under 2 minutes.
Fuck.
That's highest. Yeah, because I just played Witch Hunter, and then you have like it just basically infinite cooldowns on invincibility, and you just
how many damn difficulties does that game have?
It actually the max when I played it was a Greater Rift level 100.
Fuck.
So basically, it was just, and I was like max Paragon because like the more you play, the more modded lobbies you get into, and just get to find. It was.
I've heard that on PC they would have like temporary heroes like from different games of Blizzard's in Diablo 3. Am I correct on that?
I think that's Heroes of the Storm.
No, I thought I heard it for Diablo 3, but yeah, I know Heroes of the Storm does that because they're doing this thing with Genji and Diva and they have you like you can get new skins for Overwatch.
Zarya has better skins in Heroes of the Storm than Overwatch.
Yeah, dude. It sucks being a Zarya main for the most part. She's like because I use her all the time, and she's got the fucking worst skins. It's like I got nothing cool to pick.
The last for 2013, The Last of Us is my favorite game, so it takes the cake for that. 2014, so I actually picked Wolfenstein: The New Order. I thought it was a great game.
Yeah.
You picked Transistor for that year, but Wolfenstein. I didn't pick up that many games that year because none of them really appealed to me, so it took it pretty easily. Then for 2015, Life is Strange.
Really? Okay, cool.
Got that. But I didn't play that in 2015, though. I played it later. But
that's
now that
fine.
I look back,
I know. I've done that in the past. Yeah.
I'm okay with that just simply because he agrees with me.
Yeah, I was like, don't worry, we're not done talking about Life is Strange. And then in 2016, I picked Overwatch 2. And then out of the games that have come out so far, what do you guys think for Game of the Year this year?
I was asked that earlier this morning, and it's hard. But honestly, man, there's been a couple good games, but especially recently, I find myself returning to like indie games. Well, I guess Oxenfree, it makes sense. Like that's what I'm returning to. And there's a couple indie games. I also have to give real quick before we move on. Ori in the Blind Forest, or Ori in the Blind Forest, is another title that
I hate.
If you guys haven't got
games usually, not hate, but
so do I.
Can usually not get into them. And that is one that
looks good though.
Oh man, it is great. It is.
Sorry,
I forgot about that one too.
But Horizon Zero Dawn for me, without a doubt.
Yeah,
Horizon Zero Dawn is so far past anything else I've played. Nier Automata might be close, but
that
would be my 2017.
For 2017, out of the games I beat, it's either Resident Evil 7 or Horizon Zero Dawn.
Too. Neo,
but Neo's up there. That was a great game too. It's just that there's so many great games to pick from. But out of games I haven't beat, I haven't played Nier, and I love a good platinum game, and I loved Nier's story, and I've heard Automata's story is fantastic. So that could be on my list at some point. Persona 5, I'm in love with. Haven't beat it. I'm at the 100-hour mark now, and I'm almost 100% sure that'll be on my list unless some catastrophic thing happens at the end of the game, which I really doubt will. But I mean, that game, like, I get hyped up when I play Persona so much because it's just got so much flair and style to it, and they just have the best fucking one-liners in the game when they're in combat, and I still get fucking goosebumps from that game. Like, I remember at the 85-hour mark, I still had fucking goosebumps from how epic this game is. So I would be shocked if this game was not my game of the year, but I don't like to call it before the year ends. But if I'm going to pick like one game right now, like, yeah, it's probably Horizon Zero Dawn. But that's just me personally.
I got to pick that game up.
Yeah, that game, it's just that.
What about you, Blastro? You didn't say yours.
Oh, man.
You didn't,
mine's
for
probably like
2017.
Astroneer, because I have literally, that was the only game I bought.
Wait, what game is
I've
it?
been playing so much Overwatch.
Astroneer.
So.
Astroneer is it's that Microsoft. Well, it was like early on Xbox preview for a while, but it was like walking around on a planet, trying to mine stuff and build yourself up. It's goofy looking. Those,
cracks that were left after No Man's Sky, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Put my heart back together.
Yeah, with the JB Weld known as Astroneer. Yeah, it was. That was a good game. That's a good pick, actually. Yeah. That makes total sense.
For me, the big tear is between right now Resident Evil 7 and Horizon, because like I'll think of Resident Evil 7 immediately when someone says Game of the Year. Because holy shit, that is a incredibly well done game in the terms of New Game Plus content. I'm surprised we didn't talk about that last week with the New Game Plus stuff. I thought that game did it really well with the Madhouse mode.
Very well.
Especially, the level of quality, the gunplay, the survival horror that was really there, the intensity, just great game. But on the other hand, you got Horizon, where like the best new open world I've explored. And
it's an experience, dude.
Yeah.
There's something about Horizon that even when my friends are like, that looks awesome, and I'm all, it's not. That's easy to sell you. It's easy to sell you on graphics. We've all been sold the bullshit car that looks good but fucking doesn't scoot, And Horizon scoots. That game is fucking. I mean, it's like I'm constantly experiencing new things, and Resident Evil's fantastic too. What a good year, right? Isn't it awesome?
That's the thing is, I don't want to call a shot yet, just because there's too many good things to pick from.
There's a lot. It's insane. That's a good question.
Yeah, really. I didn't even think of that. All right, well, on to our next topic. Let's talk about Prey. We brought up some swag bags recently, and we wanted to talk about just the Prey release week upcoming and our expectations of this title, and just our thoughts on everything. So let's start with the story on what Karak was bringing up, but then we said let's hold off. We'll talk about it later. I don't know how many people listening follow me on Twitter or Instagram, but
handles on screen.
Yeah, shameless plug here. But what happened was I come home from Buffalo Wild Wings, and there is a package on my bed. And my parents are nice enough to do me that favor and just put it in my room when something comes in the mail for me. I'm thinking, like, I remember, Bethesda asked me for my, my address. They probably sent me the Prey game. I was like, oh, awesome. This will be great. I'll just start the review now.
I know where this is going.
And so I opened this box, and mind you, I'm not saying it's in an entitled manner for those listening. I know you guys know me by now, but I'm just clarifying for any new listeners. So I opened this box up, and it's a golden box, and I'm like, oh, this is definitely the game. So I lift the lid, and there's a piece of paper. I'm like, oh, embargo notes. I'll read that in a sec. Let's see what's in here. So I start going through some packaging and stuff, and I see the weirdest swag bag I've ever received before a game. So for those
weirdest.
Yeah. So for those who have not ever seen what that is, Microsoft was kind enough to do this before Gears of War, and actually I think it was after the game came out, and they sent a lot of YouTubers and Twitch streamers an Xbox One Slim of the Gears of War 4 one. It was awesome gesture. And it's designed to get creators excited about the game, to talk about it. It's smart, I can't lie. But if you got a good head on your shoulders, and that shouldn't have influenced your opinion. But it's usually just a kind gesture of coverage for the game in general. And so I'm thinking, like, all right, they're sending me the game and some swag, and I open the fucking package, and so I take out toilet paper. I'm like, no fucking way. I'm like, they sent me toilet paper. This has to be a joke. So I put it down. I'm like, okay, like they're just gagging me. Next thing I pull out, coffee beans. I'm like, I just couldn't believe it. I was thinking, like, where are they going with this? Is this some type of, like, did someone else get my address and just send me a bunch of fucking shit? But I see, like, the Talos 1 stuff on it. I'm like, this is Prey. This is Prey. I'm like, okay, let's put this down. What's the next thing I pull out? A fucking banana. What the fuck? It was a banana bunker, it was called. They sent me a plastic thing so if I want to take a banana on the go, I slip the banana in my pocket in my banana bunker, and I can take this shit where I want. I can fall on my fucking banana. That shit won't smush now. I was like, what the hell is wrong with these people? And then that last thing, it was really cool. It was a Talos coffee mug, which is the only thing that made sense because, you see the mimics transform into the coffee mugs and then zip off. But I never saw a banana transform in my demos with the game. I never saw toilet paper transform when I was in the bathrooms in Prey during any of the demos I played. I've only seen the coffee cups change.
It is yet to come. It is yet to come.
Dude, like when I got mine, I was with friends and I got it. And I had, like I told you in Twitter, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not getting the game because it's Bethesda. They won't give it early unless they do and you can't play it and then they turn it on. There's too many caveats. So I was like, it's probably not the game. It's a swag bag. That's fine, whatever. So I leave it. And then my wife basically is like, I just opened this and there's a fucking banana in this box. And I'm like, what? And I go over and look, and the best thing, guys, isn't any of that, which is crazy all by itself and shows just how I
left out one thing.
Just how sort of almost embarrassing it is. But the best was their embargo notes, no lie, pretended like you should be excited that they sent you embargo notes about a demo everyone was able to play at that time and told you that it was okay to play it and stream. No. And they said it was okay to play it and stream it. So basically they sent you a piece of paper that said, oh, just like everybody else, you can play and stream this. And it was that false, we've talked about this before, the desire for false PR, the desire for false bravado, that get excited and get a second job to buy a PS3. And you're like, fuck you twice. And I was sitting there going, that was the worst part of all of it. Like, I was like, oh, great, I got a coffee mug, feed the banana to a dog, whatever. But that piece of paper was pretty, I'm going to be honest, that was one of those times where I was like, I didn't care that I didn't get the game because I didn't think I was going to.
Same.
What I cared was this piece of paper was written so condescendingly and so like, you know, be excited that it just made me just be like, what the fuck ever. I just walked off. I was like, whatever. I mean, there's nothing you can say about it. It happened.
It was
I knew
it was
you
an out of touch
mention
move.
it.
I thought it was a gag.
It was
at
out
first,
of touch.
But,
that's a good way.
Yeah, one of the PR notice, it was like that. Here's the thing. What I felt is like when they sent this out, they probably sent it to, you know, your smaller YouTuber, and you know they see that and they're like, oh, like I'm getting permission from Bethesda themselves. Yeah, right. I can fucking do it. Let's go. Yeah, and I know because I've been there, and not that I've had to do a demo per se, but I've had that feeling of like, yeah, they sent this to me. Like, fuck yeah, my shit's growing. This feels good. Like, you get that confidence and you make the content. Way back in the past, like when I had 20,000 subs, and it was like a first time thing, and they take advantage of that. That's the truth. Yeah. You know, you get that package in the mail. What'd you get in the mail? Oh, it's from a game company, you know, not a big deal or anything. Yeah, you just fluff your shirt a little bit and just walk off. But you know, if you're like Karak and I, we're not saying it in a flashy way, but you know, we receive these type of things from time to time, and you get a little shocked when you get something like that, where it's like, you're not the stuff that's in the box. You know, you get what they're going for. It's to fit the theme of the game, but it's the notice in there. It's like trying to get you to cover the game by saying you can, even though anyone can. It's like, what? I
will say this. I also feel like, and this is me, not, I can't speak for Matty, but I did feel like there was a desire. I'm just going to be honest. I felt like there was a desire, a small desire at least, to distract us from the fact that we weren't getting the game. Here's why I want to say that. Because I was contacted secret hush hush, just like Matty was. And it was like, we need your address for a secret package.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, your game's coming up in less than a week. I just think it was one of those times where you're like, man, not everybody's this distasteful either. I have to hats off to some indie developers who send me stuff. I usually give it to patrons. Ubisoft is very good about being realistic about what they're going to send. Strangely enough, I know a lot of people dislike them. Even Activision has done very well for me with Skylanders to do testing. They've done an incredible amount. But this was one of those times where you're just like, what? Who? I want to be in that meeting. Like, that's the meeting. I want somebody to say, guys, I got an idea. We got this spare banana here from the fruit basket. Let's ship that to 5 YouTubers.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, what, like, dude, the fly
like
on the wall.
Filthy Frank, human cake. Send them a bunch of
human cake.
Because the thing is, in practice, you open the box, you're like, what the fuck? I got a banana. It's like, how does someone fucking pitch that idea, right? Like you said, it's like, dude, we got spare bananas. Let's give them those too. Oh, have you heard of the banana bunker? Oh, what? Like, I just want to sit there and watch this all go down. And someone saying, that's smart. That's a good choice.
Some guy walks into the dev room and he falls down. And he's like, at least my banana's not smushed. And it's like,
and everybody's like, that. There you go. Exactly.
Dude,
like,
I think you just had a stroke of genius there. That's fucking wild. Stroke. But yeah, it was just so more sad. So that they like Karak said, it was a hush hush approach, where, you know, like I said, you expected the game, not in the terms of like I deserve this, but in the terms of like, usually when someone reaches out within a week and a half or so of their game and asks for your address, you're probably getting the game itself.
It was purposely styled, Matty.
It was and I was like,
it was purposeful for us.
Well, that's the thing. I was confused too, because I was like, Bethesda's review policy, it's pretty trash. Exactly. And then they're asking for what's going on. I'm like, oh, maybe they're doing a change for the YouTubers. I was like, okay, fine by me. And then you get that and you're like, what? Like, are you guys like, okay? Do you know what's going on?
It was just one of those times where I try to keep pretty positive about like this kind of stuff, because I do see a lot of developers and publishers who are very, you know, excited about somebody covering their game, good and bad. Yeah. You know, I've had, and you have too, where you've had a reviewer who's like, man, I've had this Diluvian just recently where I hammered the Jesus out of that game. And the developer was the first person to post. And he's like, I've been waiting for this. I appreciate it. Never change. This is the honesty we need. We'll be back in a week with patches. And I was like, fuck, that's the way it should be. And then you have like the Bethesdas who, they're great, and but sometimes they lose their fucking focus. And you have to, you sit there and go like, I don't think you get it, dude. Too many times of that, it could be read really wrong, especially at this time.
On Heinz.
Yeah, at this time frame. So it was just one of those really weird situations that reminds you that just because I get positive about a lot of developers and publishers and real people working there, that sometimes some jackass thinks a banana is a good idea. And like even like people who don't know games, one of the guys said you can smell the PR in that box. Like he's like, that is the smell of PR, bananas and coffee beans, But enough of that. It was just stupid.
Yeah.
One of those things.
Our next topic is let's talk about Cars 3.
Hell yes.
Yeah, Blastro, this is your idea. I haven't seen any of this trailer you're talking about, but you seem pretty adamant that you were like, we gotta talk about Cars 3, Matty.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So basically, it's the end of Lightning McQueen out here, and allegedly. So they're trying to close it up, I imagine. Like your days of
kind of thing?
Yeah, your days of racing are over. We need to kill this franchise, like before we destroy it. So they basically just the next generation of like cars is coming out, and like some like random car set the new record on his home stadium, and he goes to try to beat him, and then he like flips and stuff. You guys see that clip of like
a little bit
flipping,
the slow
crashing,
super
edgy, So he basically, it's like sort of like the beginning of Rambo. He's like training and stuff, trying to like so he can beat that Russian guy in the fifth one or whatever.
Ivan Drago, my friend.
Yeah. Yes. So I think taking that.
It feels like the movie's trying to be a meme, just so that it'll get like people in the seats.
Yeah,
that's funny as shit.
I don't even know if it's a big title or movie series anymore. I liked 1 a lot. I don't remember much of 2. I don't remember much of 2, but I liked 1. And I watched Planes, which is the ripoff. I think it's made by the same people. They just planes, train. There's going to be trains here soon.
Oh no.
But I can't wait for boats.
Yeah, but trains, planes, boats, automobiles. John Candy will return from the dead. I think that they're trying to do something that's like appealing to the current audience, and it's going to fail. Half of the time, the things like Cars and Toy Story, they get nostalgia, and they sort of understand how to handle it. And the trailer didn't look like it knew how to handle it. That's just me. It looked like they had missed that completely.
Because the issue is that they made a series out of a movie that was like people were like, okay, that was good. All right, like.
Right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. And like not that it was.
Right, the second one, he was a spy, right?
Yeah,
the
some
second,
shit.
He becomes a spy.
I don't remember the second one at all.
Finn McMissile.
Yeah. Whatever.
That was his name.
It's it seems like they just kind of made a franchise out of the wrong movies. They at least announced the Wreck-It Ralph too.
That was hilarious. That movie, Turbotastic.
It was a great fucking movie, man. And are they doing another Big Hero 6 at some point? Or no, I'm just thinking of It's a World in Kingdom Hearts 3, which has me so excited, man. Big Hero 6 is like my favorite recent Pixar movie. That was fucking cash.
That game ain't coming out.
That shit killed me. That was such a good movie.
I watched that trailer and I left it on autoplay, and like 2 or 3 hours later I came back to my computer and it was like some channel that it was like the AI's corrupting our children's minds, and I was like, what's going on here?
That's the best thing. Leave your YouTube on playing and come back in a couple hours, and it jumps. Video. It's weird, but
it was this craziest video. It was this guy, and I never even knew this was a thing, but like he basically had like a glider thing, and he like ran. He like geared up, ran, and then he had like a turbine on his back, and he just flew.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is a thing, and I like shared it everywhere. I'm like, and everyone's like, yeah, it's a thing you didn't know.
It's the turbo flying suits. They're pretty insane now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, I need one of these
things.
They are, but they're now they're a wingsuit they're not even under the arms like a squirrel. They're actual hard winged, and they have turbines, and they can fly for a while. And they showed one with an F-16, and then 2 people on each side doing a
what?
I formation. I was just like,
what the hell? Someone on Facebook the other day. That fucking ancient site.
You probably saw the flying car thing.
Like it was like this. There was a seat. There was like a tiny hood. It looked very lightweight. There were 2 wings, and this guy was holding a handle. He just ran, jumped, and like sat down.
I saw that.
Yes,
I know what you're talking about.
And he just goes up. I'm like,
what the? And
he just starts flying
that's the same
around.
Same video. Maybe.
Yeah. I was just like, that is fucking insane. And he's got to run. Sorry, he wasn't jumping down a hill or up a hill or whatever. He was just flat ground, jumped, up he went. I was like, holy fuck.
It was like that really like cringy vlogger attitude, like charisma. It's like
hipster.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, hey, that's what I do. What's up, everybody? This is Karak with HCG. People are like, fuck,
yeah, it's like
hipster.
No,
it's
you
like
got your own
comedy,
lingo,
short
Karak.
ski
Because
really.
like when I said one time I caught the Karak. I call it, and I started off with a fucking. I think I had to edit the podcast, and I literally I said sup, folks, and they were like, Matty, I think you've been talking to Karak too much.
I'm gonna say salutations.
Yeah.
Now,
be like,
now
what
to
the
piss
fuck?
people off. We should all, whatever Lone says, I'm gonna talk in an Australian accent. I can't do it. I'm gonna have to watch the movies.
Yeah, Lone
That
roasts
would
my
rock.
intro, but Lone doesn't really. What is he say?
Wastelanders.
Yeah.
Does he not really have an intro?
I know, because for his intro, I always think of when he signs on Skype. I hear that, good morning, all the time.
Oh dear God, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, good morning. How's everyone doing? I'm just gonna go get some coffee. I'll be right back.
Breaky.
Yeah.
Breaky.
Jeez.
Every
What else
time.
we got?
Last thing we got on the list, unless anyone wants to toss anything out there, is that Nintendo unveils a brand new 2DS XL, despite people are asking for more of the NES Classic. Another just brain dead fucking move. There's no other words to describe that. It's just like, where's your head at? You have this. You limit the amount of production of the NES Classic.
I was thinking about this a lot. Can I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I think when they their idea was it was going to be a collector's item, and then more than just collectors bought this thing. Everyone was out there to buy a NES Classic, and then it's like it blew up compared to what they thought, and it's like they should have kept riding the train, like the pay train, and then they just kept with the original plan. I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? Everyone's complaining. Yeah,
it's just
my insight.
Yeah, because why? They obviously want to make money. I think Nintendo's not afraid to admit that. I mean, not only their company, but a lot of their policies and stuff say, like, yeah, we want your fucking money. Especially because they alerted people on their Twitter account today. They were like, oh, get Mario Kart 8 so you can play online for free until we add our paid service. Like, that's actually what they said. And people were like, we actually forgot about that until you said something. And so what I'm saying is that you not only that, but it's that you have another DS. Another one. There was like the 3DS, the DS, the 3DS XL, the new 3DS XL, the 2DS. Now there's the fucking 2DS XL, or I think it's called the new 2DS X. That. You get the point. What the fuck? There's so many, dude.
I have a weird thing that I noticed when I was looking at this, and I was looking at handhelds, especially how Nintendo has handled them. And I wanted to ask you, Matty, because we were talking about in our podcast, and I don't cover the Vita as much, so I couldn't remember this. But it seems to me that this is a handheld-specific situation where Nintendo has a habit of removing features and releasing something again. So for the Xbox One S, you get an Xbox that's faster slightly and an Xbox that does 4K for less. PS4 Pro, it's much more, but not money-wise, but it's much more powerful, and then money-wise it's a little bit, but they didn't remove anything. The last thing I remember being removed is backwards compatible chips from the PS3. So consoles seem to be handled in one way, but handhelds in particular seem to be handled in a different way, and that different way isn't adding value for the consumer. It's technically actually getting the consumer into their ecosystem for a cheaper price with a lesser product. Am I right on that? Or did the PS4 Vita or the PS Vita, did that actually ever have a secondary one that came out that was just cheaper and better? Because it doesn't seem like Nintendo knows how to do that.
Yeah, because, well, here's the thing, is the Vita has two versions. It's got the normal one I have, and that's got the OLED screen. It's got the
touchpad on the back.
Yeah, it's got the touchpad on the back. I'm trying to think.
Right.
Yeah, it's got some of those. And then you got the the PS Vita Slim, which is a cheaper version now. Although you can probably get any type of Vita on fucking eBay for like $100 at this point. It's probably dirt cheap. But at that point, it removed the OLED screen. But in exchange for that, you got more battery life. So it was kind of a subtraction for an addition. I love the OLED screen for the Vita. I think it makes a lot of games very vibrant.
Huge difference.
Yeah,
I would assume.
Especially because a lot of games on there are Japanese focused, and they're very art reliant, very color reliant, and the OLED screen brings that out. So you can view that as a subtraction depending on what games you're looking at. For me, I view it as a subtraction. Fuck, I can't talk now. Subtraction. But you get the additional battery life. But it does remove some features from the original one, but it's also lighter. So you can actually take it on the go more, where I can take my Vita on the go, no problem really. But I also have drop skinny, so I have really big pockets, and I don't have an issue taking a Vita around. But someone who's got the normal business pants or jeans, the top of your Vita is almost always sticking out. With the Slim, it's a lot easier to carry on the go. So because like
I got deep pockets, man.
Yeah, I got deep pockets. So like for example, my friend Connor, he's got the Slim. I've tested that out. It just feels off. It feels more of a matte finish. That's another thing, is the actual finish on the buttons and stuff is different from the original Vita, which is more of that typical, I can show you guys because you have the camera on, but it's more of that typical Sony, the button structure and stuff. It's clear. And yeah, so it's like with the Vita, I guess there's kind of a subtraction, but not with Nintendo, where there's like 40 regurgitations that like remove an ad and remove an ad. Like, hey, we're taking away the 3D functionality in this thing. Oh, but in this new DS one, we're having 3D, and you actually have different angles that you can see on no matter what. But then this one won't. It's like, it's like there's 40 different variations, where it's not like we got one for everybody. It's just like they just can't pick a model and stick with it.
It's what I'm talking about. I don't know. Blastro doesn't sound like he has one. But it just seems to me that when it comes to consoles, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, it's a value add to the consumer with a shrinking of the technology and a consolidation of the features.
I have a PS4.
But we don't see that. Yeah, PS4. Sorry, I meant handhelds. So when it comes, so with consoles, you have that, and then with handhelds, at least what I'm seeing is it feels like Nintendo is doing the one thing that we've all worried about, which is taking advantage of lack of competition in the space. And and unless there's a Sony or a Microsoft or a fucking TurboGrafx 16, yes, I had one. If there's not one of those to sort of defend against, Sony in the console space wouldn't make any changes they make. Microsoft wouldn't make any in theirs, and Nintendo is really showing that in theirs, which is handhelds.
Observation.
They're really showing it. I think it's
right.
very clear as an example. And that worries the shit out of me whenever anybody says I don't want competition in the console space.
I think with handhelds, it's always been the common place to have the, you got the model that's like the, I guess we'll use the Vita for the example. You got the normal Vita.
I'm still listening. I got to do something.
Yeah, no problem. That has the OLED screen. It's got all the power behind it. But then you got that cheaper version that doesn't do as much. But Nintendo's kind of known for all those fucking variations. Let's look at the Game Boy. Game Boy Color, Advanced SP, the Game Boy Micro. Somehow my friend owned and played on that tiny little box.
What?
Have you ever heard of that?
I didn't even know. I know.
Look it up, man. Tiniest thing. It's insane. What else was there under the Game Boy name? I feel like am I forgetting any? Yeah, because but what was different about that is you had the Game Boy Color. That was just a big deal in general because it was such a new piece of technology. Then you had the Game Boy Advance, which I guess was more powerful. I don't, in the terms of the games it played, but I don't really remember. I was a kid at the time, so obviously I wouldn't notice the biggest difference. But then the SP was the actual leap forward. You had the backlit screen. It was just this tiny box. You could carry it on the go.
Right.
But it still played the same Game Boy Advance game. So it was just another variation. So it's it's just kind of been a thing for Nintendo because they've just dominated that market. And, there was a chance for competition when the PSP came in. And, I mean, you look at that and how that fucking killed it, man. And then the PS Vita, which was obviously, as much as I like the system, definitely a failure.
Yeah, it worries me a little bit because that lack of competition, if we see that space from, Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft, whatever, I think it shows anybody who follows business knows that's pretty much probably what they're getting away with. And I'm sure there's some difficulties in manufacturing smaller items, even smaller. But it is weird that we see the eBay bullshit with the Classic and all this stuff, and then they did that. And one of the people on my channel were like, is this a Switch alternative? And I'm like, no. But here's the question I want to ask you guys. We got one resounding answer. No one had a different answer for this, but I want to see if you guys agree. Would this have been better if it had been a Switch Mini and it was 480p, maybe 720p all the time, and it played Switch games, and it just fit in your pocket? It was that size.
I think maybe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be a little early for another variation, but it's just that, like, I think
everybody on my channel was like, no, I fucking hate that idea. So it's weird that we see, they were.
Yeah, I mean,
they were
it's
so
the thing. I
they
just
were
feel
mad
it's
at
too
me
early
for asking it.
I feel like it's just too early. But like, if they were actually to present that, I wouldn't be shocked. But when I remember laying in bed, I was checking my emails, and I'm just sitting there, and I see like one from Nintendo. It's a press release, and they're like, Nintendo announces new 2DS XL. I literally just shook my head and deleted it. I was like, again? Like, are you fucking kidding me? It's just insane.
It's insane.
Go ahead. There was a Richer Review Tech USA video about them making a SNES Classic, and that would be
I wouldn't be surprised
next stage
if it took a trend. It's like, in
Nintendo's N64 GameCube Classic, I would buy.
Yeah, I was gonna say they definitely have a catalog, because if you do a fucking 64 Classic, I will have my grubby mitts all over that shit, man. Especially if you got a reworked controller. You got a reworked controller. That's not me holding the fucking.
Japanese knockoffs already do that. I have one.
Really?
I actually have one of the. Yeah, it's got 30 or 300, I can't remember, N64 games on it, and it's an N64 controller with the emulator and chip in it. And it's just the controller with wires, and you plug the wires in, and you start playing.
It's awesome. Crazy. I remember seeing like the do-it-yourself ones to create like a mobile. I know what you're talking about. That's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. And if some knockoff company can do it now, then you're assuming Nintendo could make it look stylish and improve it, as you said, because there's some improvements that could be done. But it's interesting. It's just interesting that they did it. I mean, I think that they're out there, and some of the choices they make just are a little distasteful sometimes. Just a little not consumer, I guess. But well, it's like they don't give more. They just take more. It's all nostalgia. As Silver in my channel said,
they're taking over.
It's all nostalgia.
They're taking over the mobile market. Fire Emblem Heroes, Super Mario Run.
Right.
Fire Emblem Heroes actually made them more money than Super Mario Run, which I thought was crazy. I was shocked to hear that.
I think that they're going to take over the console market. Like, if it really is the last generation of consoles, like people have been saying, because a lot of people are like, even me, I got a PC. Just got a PC.
I don't think I can't imagine consoles ending.
Like it's just been like an ongoing thing, sort of like how physical games have like died down. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think that Nintendo is a lot more because the PlayStation, and Xbox are getting really close to PCs in terms of like how they're made.
Like, are you talking about the Scorpio moving forward, or?
Yes, yeah. Okay. So like it's just they're just basically streamlined gaming PCs, which is so like, but when you come to Nintendo, it's not necessarily about the raw power. It's more about like the little extra, the quirks. Yes, the left Joy-Con not working, those type of quirks,
or the right Joy-Con being so low it hurts your thumb. Or,
yeah.
Oh god.
I think the reason why. Well, first of all, I mean, we already know that like designs are in development already for the Scorpio 2. Like, that kind of stuff happens all the time. They could decide we don't want to do it if they have success elsewhere. But I think that there's an infrastructure improvement that needs to happen. Because Microsoft themselves have even indicated that currently streaming technology does not equate to at-home technology. It's why the Scorpio allows for downloading. It's why Xbox's Game Pass will allow for downloading versus streaming, because PS4, what is that called? Pro?
PS Now.
Or
PS
Now?
Yeah.
PS Now has issues with streaming and artifacting and all those things. So I think we see, especially in America, who has pretty shitty bandwidth, but is one of the major consumers of video games, until we figure out a way to up our speed and stuff, then I just don't. I mean, the infrastructure is not there for a company to do it. I do see what Blastro is saying in the fact that I could see a company having both, though, and saying, if you want, you don't need to buy a Scorpio 2. You can pay us monthly and we will stream you, and you need to know what you're getting, but we will stream you those games from our virtualized
I didn't
Scorpio.
mean, like,
I could see them do that.
Like the Nintendo, like NVIDIA Shield. I meant like streamlined gaming PCs. So like they're basically
I know.
PC,
Yeah.
but only
No, they are.
gaming.
They are. They're just Jaguars.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Their ROPs are a little lower. But what I'm saying is that's the only way you would see them, because it doesn't matter if they were made with alien tech. It matters about their games and how they deliver them. And right now, the infrastructure isn't there for those kinds of things to happen. And they are. I think we won't ever see Microsoft probably go away from the gaming console, because they have the numbers to. The one thing you should look at isn't Sony, strangely enough, because Sony, they don't have the numbers Microsoft does. Microsoft has Windows numbers, and they can look at dual ownership and all these weird little things that we don't see in their metrics. And one of the things that always surprises me is people questioning why Microsoft, of all people, stays in. And I'm like, you don't get it. Until Windows is the OS for the Xbox, and it looks exactly the same, but also allows for that customization, it behooves them to do that. It actually helps them because they sell now, not just the Windows, they sell the PC, which is called your Xbox One Scorpio. And until that can't happen, until they can't say, we can make it on both ends, they're not going to stop. Like, it makes total sense for them. It's weird.
For me, I have to just chime in and say that it's also not even the terms of how they do it technically, but also I think the simplicity of a console offers a lot. And I'm not just talking about the casual gamer who comes in, flips on the Call of Duty, we'll say, and that. But I'll take a very current example of like an hour and a half ago. My PC just randomly stops working. It's like that type of stuff. Some people just don't want to go through. A lot of people like the simplicity of turning on the console. This is my gaming machine and playing. And some people just don't like fucking around with the PC, because you got to update drive. I mean, a lot of this is simple if you use it over time. But when you have these unexpected issues where now when I start up my computer, endless reboots, constant, it doesn't even get to the BIOS screen, that type of stuff, it can be frustrating where it's like, I bought this to game on and it just doesn't turn on, and these problems can crop up, and it's the updating the specs. It can be an intimidating process for gamers where I think a lot of people find it just beneficial and appealing to just step into a store, Walmart, Best Buy, whatever, and say, okay, I'm going to pick up this Xbox One Scorpio, and that's it. And I know I'm plugging in a power, I'm plugging in the cable to my TV, firing the sucker on, and it's just put the disc in. And I mean, I'm not making people sound like idiots when I say that, but I get it because I tend to primarily game on consoles, just because, I mean, that's kind of what I grew up with, and I've never been a big graphics FPS guy, where that's determined that like I have to play on PC because that's the definitive way to play. For me, it's just if you're having fun, you're having fun, because that's what games are about for me.
To build on that, like a lot of those PC issues that you were talking about, they are making their way to consoles. I find like new patches that come out and it screws up, or
Great point. You're right.
People, so like they're getting so close, and when people talk about games now, it's like, can the PS4 hit, like they came out and they're like the power of low end gaming Ds basically when they came out, or mid to low end, and it's like when they like launch games or reveal games, they're like, oh, we can run it at the best specs compared to the other console, but they're just competing for the same, but like PC already does everything better. And because consoles, if they keep upgrading, as like last generation it was super long, and now this one was cut short. So if it's going to be like upgrading, like you're going to have to upgrade a computer, like it's going to be a lot easier to jump over because they're having less and less reasons to stay on the console train, because there is a certain degree of simplicity, but
you're right, as it goes on, it definitely more
like as it goes on, you say like how our industry grows with the people, like so as soon like a lot of the kids, they're now adults and they have to work with computers.
Good point.
So they're going to be able to make the jump a lot easier.
Shut me right down. Great point,
you know what's
bro.
weird? It's not though, because this is what I do on the side. I just want to say this is Black. No, he's absolutely right in his idea of what is right. Like his idea of what he just said is exactly what you would think, right? That makes total sense. It's not actually what occurs, and this is what I'm doing on the side right now. And I can tell you, I mean, we're dealing with like 10,000 people, clients, so it's not a small group of people. And what you find is this: while complexity is growing on the console side, for sure, the complexity of min-maxing and finding items for a PC is something that is so far beyond the pale. For example, a person may say, I want a Tesla, because they know what an electric engine is, but they do not want to work on a carbureted engine. There's a big difference between those, and that's what happens. Is so you get a gamer who wants, let's say, more power. What's happening is Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo are seeing that people want more power, but they don't want to jump. If they do jump, which some do, many of them still keep a hold of their console, because I have to say I disagree with the only one thing Blastro said. PC does everything better? No. Their ports are shit. I have so many bad PC game ports that I'm sorry.
You might have one coming up.
Right. He might not be burned on them, but I'm burned on them. I'm so burned out by horrible PC ports. And so what he means by that is power, and he's absolutely right. The power is there to run it 4 times the resolution that like an Xbox One could. But here's the thing. If Matty and I have the same computer and the same updates, and we both run a benchmarking suite, and as long as we've run let's say we've run the PC for a month, there's a very good chance we will get a somewhat of a delta in our FPS, just because of cache files and weird shit going on. The one nice thing about a console, for the most part, is you buy a console, like your Xbox. Matty will see the same frames I will, not always, and vice versa. And I think that we're talking from a position of knowledge, because the people I talk to are from a position of convenience, and every single one of them would go with console. Like, and I mean that to a T. Like I said, I know like everybody I know is all, they don't even talk about PC. It's not because they don't want power. It's because they don't want the complexity of playing a game. They are gamers, and the more gamer they are, it sounds strange, the more somewhat casual they become. Like they're like, I just want to play my fucking game. I just want to play Horizon. When is Horizon going to be on the PC? And somebody says never, and they're like, well, then I'm buying the PS4 for $400 versus a video card, which I just bought for $700. That's one part of a massive system. And then people say, oh, you can put a PC together for cheaper. Another thing that I've done for 12 years, and I'm telling you right now, you can. But you also have to part spec. You have to look for items. You have to make sure that you get the best prices. That is a complexity that is so far beyond like what a lot of people want to get into. I mean, come on. Yeah. You know, it's this weird dichotomy. And Blastro's right. That's exactly what you would think. But what's happening is people right now seem to be doubling up. And I think Microsoft is probably hinting at that, because they're doing the buy one, get play on both. Yeah. You guys notice that? Yeah. Like Gears, you can buy one. Yes. Which is awesome, but I still think it's a mistake, because it's such a good deal. But that seems like Microsoft even understands that. They're like, we'll just give you both. Horizon was a big one. Horizon for me, Horizon 3. I was just like, I can fucking play that on my PC against a friend on the Xbox One with the same. How does that make sense? But to Microsoft, who is the developer of the #1 OS, it makes sense. And I think when you look at their numbers, you go, oh, okay, I get what they're doing. I think Blastro's right in what he's saying. It's just that we're all smarter. Not smarter. We're all
well-informed.
We're all more well-informed, and we've been in the industry longer. And as each new gamer comes up, my brother, for example, worked on computers. And I'm telling you right now, if I said, hey, do you want a gaming computer or a console? He's like, I have 2 consoles. What do you think? Of course I don't want a computer. You know, so it's just it's a psychological thing almost. It'd be weird to look at the psychology of it, actually. Yeah.
There's like when there's a reveal or there's a E3, there's like 3 money words. It's like you got the FPS, the resolution, and the backwards compatibility. And of course there is a lot of things that are, it's basically the convenience factor of the consoles. But if there's a certain like amount of faith when you buy a console, you're like, okay, I'm going to be able to buy this. I'm going to be set with my games. Sure. And then you saw this with an attempt when the Xbox One first came out. It's like, oh, you don't have to just game. You can do all this with the TV. And it's like So if you they have to they made it a good choice to target the hardcore gamer. And if consoles continue to do that instead of trying to branch out. And but that's why I think Nintendo, back to my original point, is that Nintendo seems to target the games, right? And like, so hard. But like all the apps that you can get on PlayStation and Xbox One, they seem to be slowly trying to, like, instead of they're trying to stealing from the PC to like get all those, maybe even grab PC people. So it's kind of like a tension that I think that PC will win. For sure. So if it just has to go with, like, as soon as those people start like, wow, I have to upgrade so often, they're either going to stay with the current console or they're going to like just go play on their computer. And if Valve, this is a really extreme example. If Valve's like stepped it up all of a sudden and started releasing like all those games only on PC,
they're just
it'd
putting
be
it in their back
insane.
pocket if they end up fucking
yeah,
up.
like,
Oh my god!
But
Like if they
Valve showed the failure of this with the Valve Steam machines, which utterly failed.
Yeah.
I meant like the
Came and went.
sequels, like the
No, I'm saying if we look at like price points and we look at what you can get a PC for a fairly cheap price. I think that while I agree with that, and PC will always win for me because I game.
Yeah.
I would say predominantly on PC. I think what we're still looking at is a situation where, especially with Nintendo, I think you're right. I think Nintendo has it, but I think Sony also has no real desire to help out Microsoft. Until they explode, I don't think Sony will release a lot of their games on PC because it's still Microsoft. Like they still win somehow. So yeah, I get all that. I totally agree with it. But it's just one of those situations where, for example, you were saying people wouldn't upgrade, but the fact is they do. iPod 2, 3, 4, 77, 99, Nexus 4,
like
5,
Apple.
and those iPods cost more now than an Xbox One S. You know, those tablets, and people upgrade those fuckers in a shorter period of time. So I think what maybe Blastro and I would agree on is that if console continues, like you said, if it continues to aim for the hardcore, then it's got a place. And I would agree. And the one thing that surprised me was they dropped 3 features from the Xbox One's OS, including Snap, which was huge. Snap was the ability.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And I used it. And we just talked about it on our podcast.
I could
We're
be
like, why
snapping
did they
right now.
drop
You
it?
guys wouldn't even know.
Exactly. And they said it was for performance. So that shows right there that Microsoft at least understands, if not parity with the PS4 Pro, that
I feel like I'm the only one who used to connect the voice thing.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, that shit's so useful. That's the only thing that's bad about my One S. I can't do that anymore, and I found it so useful just to hop between menus. People hating on it. I'm like, dude, this is. I mean, I kind of wish like you didn't have to sell me an accessory for me to do it. I could talk to my mic, but I mean, I wish that I could use it on my One S. I found that so useful.
Hey, Maddie, record this is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
Record this. I use it all. I'll be playing a game and I'll be like, I love the fact that I don't have to worry about anything. I'm just playing a game. Something cool happens. Record that, and it just.
I agree completely.
It already knows. Yep. God, that's awesome. You know. So, but I agree with Blastro. Like, if they aim for the hardcore and stuff, I think our only disagreement is just that right now we see things from opposite spectrums, which is like, you know, a knowledge base versus a convenience base, and how people make the decision. Like, how do they leap? Like, do they leap for this? And then, you know, when you start looking at how somebody spends their money, that's a big thing too. I mean, because if somebody's willing to make a $400 investment for a console, can they make a $700 one for a video card? Maybe not so much. So they might buy 2 consoles and still spend less than 1 video card, by the way.
Yeah,
right now.
The thing is, like, you don't even have to go crazy on the PC anymore. Like, it's really like there's so many good games that you can get with and play with a really like mid-tier to low-tier computer. Yeah, potato masher.
Yeah. On the other hand,
feels like it's too much of a risk factor at times, though.
Yeah, and you just said, you know, indies and the smaller games and those different games. And then Microsoft and Sony obviously understand that because they have their own stores for indie and for, you know, so it's like they get what you're saying. I mean, I agree. I think that they're trying to do as much as they can to probably stop it, especially in Sony's case. Microsoft seems more like they're just like, people want both, so we're just going to, it doesn't cost, you know, it doesn't cost an amount. Scorpio is really just the same thing. It's just it's probably technically what we wanted, I guess, from the Xbox One S. I'm sorry, Xbox One. But they don't have custom chips. I think that's another thing. Remember when you'd get a PS3 and they'd be like, "We've got the emotion." No, PS2 was the emotion engine, and it was like it does lots of things. I still remember Jack Trent after he left Sony going, "That was." Even the president of Sony said that. So, but I mean, Microsoft had like RAM on the video card and a video chip inside the 360, which helped it out. We don't have that. That's the one thing that sort of saddens me is the Xbox One S, and they don't really have any custom stuff. So it's like there's no magic. You don't go, oh, it made this, but it can do this. Instead, it's like I can pretty much tell you what it can do. You know, I mean, it's like we know pretty much what its throughput is. So. Yeah, it's an odd situation. Sad.
Definitely. I
wish there was a third, fourth party, like TurboGrafx 16. Come on, guys. Come on.
We're waiting for you.
NEC. Oh, dude. Oh, Samsung. Where I don't know if Blastro.
Wasn't Amazon getting on something?
Yeah, Amazon's already got the Fire and stuff.
Amazon's
but
going crazy.
Samsung was crazy. They were legitimately looking at a console. Like Samsung twice now has had a lot of R&D.
Sounds hard to take seriously, if I'm honest.
Well, they're they go up and down in their quality, but wouldn't it be weird to play your Samsung, like, what would they call it? The Revolution or whatever.
Just hope it doesn't blow up.
Yeah, good point. Hold on, they might take down my video. Fuck. They take down some dude's video in GTA for him throwing Samsung bombs.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's going to be really awesome to see what happens. I'm stoked because they're fighting for our dollar, right? I mean, that's the best out of all this. The best
situation.
More competition. I think we all can agree that Ouya is the best one.
Oh my, that's a throwback.
Oh God, I always forget that even exists until somebody throws it out as the worst product.
I always see these memes of the Ouya. I'm like, oh my God.
But that'll do it for the news we have for this week. Awesome show, man. Blastro, thank you so much. And dude, I gotta say, I love it when the guests come on, the patrons or whoever, and they talk a lot. We cannot emphasize that enough. We want chatterboxes.
Sure. I was like, I didn't want to be quiet.
And sorry for walking over everybody, but our audio is so bad that it's hard to even tell when there's a delay. And so I know people listen sometimes and they're like, they're talking over the top of each other. And it's like, dude, it's the fucking internet. Yeah. Like, do you have perfect internet?
That or like the awkward pause in between because like everyone's catching up with each other.
Welcome to the Ham Radio. Welcome to Ham Radio interruptions.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. I do want to say one last thing though. Phil Spencer, the thing about he wanted to see a Netflix of like video gaming. Did you hear that? Did you read that? Because there was a couple things he said this morning. He said he's hoping. Yeah, he was in an interview and he said he hopes to see a Netflix of gaming, and it confused a lot of people.
Almost.
But what he was hitting, that's what I thought. But actually what he was talking about was the ability for a company to, like Amazon or Netflix, do so well that they can create content at a different pace or rate or without the worries that they do now. What he meant was Halo single player. You can't have Halo without multiplayer, right? That's what people would agree with. Well, if Microsoft was doing well enough with their EA, what is it called? Access, Game Pass. They were doing well enough with Game Pass over a period of time. Could they branch out and do what they wanted? Could they have done Quantum Break in 4 pieces as a larger story? And I actually agree with him on that. Some of the stuff he says I don't agree with, but I would like to see the companies removed from the throttle and threshold of cash, like the tit for tat cash. Yeah. We can't do this because we won't get this. I would like an Amazon situation where it's like, we're going to show you 10 games, 10% of 10 games. You guys play those, rate them, or we're going to watch your metrics, and then 5 of them will get funding. Like that would be, because that's what Amazon does with their TV shows. Mm-hmm. But what do you guys think? Do you guys not like that idea? I mean, is it just distasteful?
So many games to play. Just the idea of a service like that where there's even fucking more, just sounds like I'd fucking die. But like in the terms of if I'm I am a consumer, and in that position, like the price is reasonable. We're talking like a monthly subscription, like you said, like Netflix. Then
he was.
That sounds a lot like the Game Pass, though, in the sense of.
That's why he said it. To be honest, I think
because that I was really on board with, and how they were like, you could just get games monthly.
Mountain Dew. That's my.
Hell yeah! What do you think, Blastro? Do you like the idea of do you like Game Pass? I know you have a PS4, but.
I think I like the idea of it. Yeah. Nothing wrong with it's sort of like a demo kind of program. You just keep getting fed demos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Prey with their demo. Yeah, I hope we start seeing like every company just being like, dude, you get an hour.
Maybe if it doesn't even bring up a lot of crazy good games, as long as it just gets rid of all the garbage, like garbage.
There'll always be garbage, but
Zombie: The Reckoning.
Mm.
Zombie: The Reckoning. I don't even know that game. I'm gonna
it's a joke. It's a joke.
Oh.
So like, there's so many zombie games, and then there's all The Reckoning.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, it is Reckoning, or what did we say earlier? Shadow. It's always Shadow. Yeah. It's like the Shadow of Reckoning.
Shadow Warrior,
Zombie, the
Shadow of Mordor.
The Shadow of the Zombie Reckoning.
Zombie, Apocalypse. The Twilight Shadow of the Reckoning, and you're like, it's like a fucking ad-lib generator now. It's, I mean, who names these fucking things? That's another thing we were talking about is like, does a game's name matter? I mean,
That's what I feel is a lot. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about with CoD World War II. I was like, guys, like, why is not you, Karak, specifically, but for me, it's like I don't care what it sounds like. Is the game good? Yeah. But it's also like with a lot of Japanese games that I play, it's like, did they just pick something that sounded cool? It's like like Tales of Berseria. It's like that sounds like Berserk, and it's like, are they trying to? And the game's much more of a darker tone. It's like, is that what they were going for? They're like Berseria. Oh, fuck, that was awesome, dude. Let's do that for our game name. You know, it's like fly on the wall moment.
I think if it needs to sound good enough that, like, you always hear these hidden gems, and it's usually because they have a really weird name. And it's like, what's this game?
Danganronpa, yeah. You hear that, and you hear that, and you're like, what the fuck? That sounds stupid. And then you play it, and you're like, wow, that is some good shit.
Have you guys seen the movie Ex Machina?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, like my friend said something about it. I didn't even know what it was, and then I saw it on Netflix. I was like, damn, this is a pretty good show. You guys should both see that movie. It's a good movie.
I'll check it out. Yeah, it's just the reason why I was asking about names is because it's more of a PR question. Like, is the reason we're getting Shadow of the Reckoning, Twilight Zone, the 4th because
District 9,
because they've PR'd these titles to the point to where they know that works. But to me, that doesn't work. To me, if I'm talking about a game and it's got a unique name, it does stick. Oxenfree, for example, the first time I heard it, I'm like,
I was
what?
just about to say that.
Yeah, the game Oxen, like, I know that the rhyme.
Odd. It sounds off.
But I'm like, Oxenfree, yeah. And so I was just wondering what you guys thought of, like, does it, maybe we see it as stupid, or I do, but maybe it makes,
Sometimes
maybe it makes sense.
Good.
I can't pick it up.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's so weird.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Except that game was.
Yeah, that game was. I'm just saying the idea. It's like, that's so weird. I want to know what it is. So maybe some of them go for that.
Battlefield Hardline, guys.
Yep. Sells me right
Far Cry Primal.
Yep.
Battlefield Hardline. Maddie and Jeremy.
That's the duo right there. Have you guys ever played MAG?
No, someone was asking me about that a couple of days ago. Oh, it was my friend's Soul.
That's my favorite bad game. My favorite bad game.
Oh, favorite bad game? Mine's Psyops.
Favorite bad
Psyops,
game.
man. Or Punisher.
What's your favorite bad game, Maddie?
That's a good question, dude. Because if I like a game, I try to like justify it and try to think.
I thought that.
I guess, but see, that's the thing. Like, I don't look at Battlefield Hardline and go like, bad game. Like, let me look at my own.
What about
critically bad?
Critically bad that I picked up and I was like, this is actually good. Hold on, my Steam library's open.
Have you guys played Quake Wars, like the Alien game?
On the PS3, I liked that game.
Yeah,
that was good.
Quake Wars, dude. I'm not even joking. This is the best story. I joined a random multiplayer lobby. It took me like 15 minutes left, and then I joined. I was playing with a guy, and then I finished like a bunch of missions with him, and I left. Like 2 days later, I picked up the game again. And I looked at the leaderboards because I was bored. I saw that guy. He was at the top of the leaderboard. He's the only guy that still plays the game. The only person. Wow. I'm funny. Like, there's only a player base of 1. I'm like, damn.
Let's see here. I'm going through a lot of games right now that it's like, do I spend my money on shit I think is bad? Here's a decent pick. Damnation.
Yeah.
But you know what? A game that's actually hasn't reviewed that well that I think is actually pretty good is Prototype.
I love Prototype.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like Prototype a lot.
My God.
Yeah, and that game is technically, graphically, story-wise, man,
it's pretty, one too?
It's pretty bad. I never even bothered to play the second one, but I like the first one.
The second one's great. The second one's so good.
Prototype, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's one that came to mind. Like, I was that guy when they were like, Infamous is coming. I'm like, yo, fuck you, man. Prototype's the way to go.
Prototype's the way.
Oh, dude.
I was that guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean, where people are like, Infamous or this. Oh, definitely Prototype.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at
you. No, I don't blame you, bro, because I know it's not that good of a game.
Prototype is that game, I think. Like,
It is. It's a perfect example of that game. And the thing is, it's one of those games I think that, like, a lot of people are like, this isn't hitting this is just not for me. And then some people stick through it, and there's that little bit of like, oh, I sort of dig this. And then it becomes that game they beat, and it becomes that little cherished memory. I mean, it's Kingdoms of Amalur or whatever, that fucking ripoff game that Kurt Schilling and made with his company.
Situation that was, but I
think
that one.
Maddie liked it, right? Yeah, and see, that's one of those games where if Maddie and I were sitting next to each other, I was the one saying, not it in a million years. Maddie stuck through it and really, really liked it, even though I wouldn't consider that game technically as bad as Prototype. But it's a good example of the differences that can pop up for sure. Prototype. I gotta write this shit down, man. We gotta have a list after a year or so of like all the
all the bad games we've pitched that are like these aren't as bad.
We should pitch them. That should be like a
podcast topic. Pitching bad games.
Exactly, pitching bad games to each other about why they would, but not
a good idea.
You have to say like Kelly Hu is in Battlefield Hardline. She looks like plastic, living molded plastic, but
terrifying. But
you could be like Far Cry Primal is actually just Far Cry, all completely redone with the same models from Far Cry 3. Yeah, that would be a blast. We should do that.
That is a good idea. Let us know in the comments on Twitter, because we got a lot of interaction with New Game Plus.
In my Discord.
Yeah, and your Discord that we have the code on screen this whole time.
Guys should both join that.
Hell yeah. But once again, Blaster, dude, thank you so much for joining us. This was a blast. Karak, as always, fun time, man. And any closing thoughts?
Can I close the podcast?
Blastro, by all means, bro.
All right, so thanks for having me on the podcast, guys. Means a lot. See you guys later in the Discord. See all of you guys later in the Discord, of course. Thanks for having me on, and peace.
Awesome.
Peace out.